Chapter 761. He immediately took out the immortal energy and immortal fruits to devour. He also devoured the undying flower, demon core flower, and other spiritual items formed over countless years. He also absorbed other resources. He couldn't casually use the greater giant diamond body in the future. While his body was recovering, exalted Master Yuezhin's thoughts suddenly came from the divine image jade wall. Master, we have refined the soul essence spirit vein in the Tao artifact space. Very good. You all return to the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda first. With a thought, the divine image jade wall and the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda formed a passage. Exalted Master Yuezhin and more than 20,000 big goblin entered the Six Paths Pagoda. I've merged with such a huge Zhuotian realm's origin stone. It was a huge origin spirit vein that he had obtained from the immortal toad's old immortal cave. As Su Fang's cultivation increased, he refined it together with the Tao artifact and the junior commander. Finally, he had completely merged with it. The Zhuotian realm's origin in his body had reached a terrifying level. He estimated that the gap between him and Sorcerer Heiyun was not big. His body slowly recovered. He also devoured Go Tianshua's energy that he had refined before breaking through to the Ascension realm. He would definitely be able to return to his normal state after devouring this energy. When he could freely use his Yang energy, Yang Infant, and True Qi, Su Fang took out a rune talisman. The ancient rune talisman was the one that sealed the heavenly gourd spirit tree. This rune talisman was less than a foot long in his hand and felt somewhat heavy. It looked like it was made of green jade and had a jade-like luster. Before he activated it, he could already feel the aura of the world from its aura. A small rune talisman could actually give off such a feeling. This was the difference between the true essence of the world and the ordinary world's power. The ordinary world's power, such as the third prince in the human emperor world, had absorbed a lot of Origin Treasure's world's power. That world's power was the most ancient natural power in the world. It had been left behind since ancient times and became the foundation of the world. It was actually 10,000 times more powerful than ordinary natural spirit qi. It was also a kind of natural spirit qi. As for the world essence within the rune talisman, it was the quintessential world energy that had fused with the Zhuotian realm when the former supreme world lord cultivated here all year round. It was the same power as the inheritance of Renwang that Su Fang had integrated back then. Fortunately, Go Tianshua undid the seal on this rune talisman. That way, I would be able to directly fuse with it. He sucked the rune talisman into the center of the 9 Yang meridians, the Yang energy space formed by the Yang energy. The rune talisman began to be released by the Yang qi. It absorbed the Yang qi and gradually released the essence of the Zhuotian realm. Su Fang's mind also entered the rune talisman. The inside was actually a dark space like a galaxy. Although it wasn't too big, it was filled with the power of the world. In this way, Su Fang began to use the world power of the Zhuotian realm in the rune talisman to cultivate the origin space of the world power of the Zhuotian realm. A large amount of Zhuotian realm's world power began to pour into the rune talisman, and the black essence of the world inside also began to thicken. Su Fang cultivated in the depths of planet Chilian with the undying tortoise while constantly recovering and cultivating the origin of Zhuotian realm. Zhuotianji in the galaxy connected to the distant Wutan realm, there was an immortal formation inside a meteorite. This formation actually released the aura of 3 immortals. The outer formation had the aura of a mortal realm, but the inner formation had layers of immortal formations. Only immortals could create such a large formation. In the depths of the formation, a large number of cultivators from the Green Lotus Sword sect were sitting cross-legged. There were also many experts from the Wutan realm who were cultivating with the Wutan realm master. In the center of the formation, there were 3 immortal formations, and each of them was an immortal. 7-Star Child was on the far right, and in the center was a mysterious immortal from a large world, a young man. On the left was the immortal from the Green Lotus Sword sect who had ascended tens of thousands of years ago, Huang Yuran. He, little girl, Not long later, I will openly slaughter my way into the Zhuotian realm. I will slaughter my way into your immortal sealing sect and capture all the women in your sect. They will all become my female slaves. Seven-Star Child was sitting cross-legged at the top of the formation. Faint rings of immortal light appeared around him, making him look like he had just descended into the mortal realm. In the formation below, Lan Haiqing was tied to a black stone staff formed by immortal light. The stone golem was devouring immortal qi on the side. The stone golem would proudly absorb a lifeblood light from Lan Haiqing's mind from time to time. Lan Haiqing was still beautiful, but he no longer had the spiritual light from before. Seven-Star Brother. At this moment, the immortal from the Green Lotus Sword sect, Huang Yuran, and another mysterious young immortal suddenly came to this immortal formation space. The two immortals greeted them politely. Please have a seat. Seven-Star Child waved his hand, and two thrones made of immortal stone appeared. After the two of them sat down, Huang Yuran said, I just received news that Realm Lord Zhuotian suddenly appeared at Xinjia Gate and instructed all the forces to go to Zhuotian Realm's Xinjia Gate and discuss with him how to deal with Xinjia Gate. Is that so? Why did Realm Master Zhuotian suddenly make a move? Seven-Star Child slowly came in front of the two, full of surprise. Huang Yuran continued, Originally, the three of us planned to not wait any longer and capture that Sufang. Then, we would directly kill our way into the Zhuotian realm and use our combined strength to forcefully take the Xinjia Gate. But now, Realm Master Zhuotian wants all the immortals to appear. It seems like our plan needs to change immediately. The two of you have decided to go to the Xinjia Gate to meet Realm Master Zhuotian and those immortals from the lower realm. We don't need to do anything to go to the Xinjia Gate. Why not? Seven-Star Immortal, this time we will go and meet those immortals from the lower realm. From what we can sense, there are 7 or 8 immortals hiding in the Zhuotian realm. They are constantly sending experts into the Xinjia Gate to search for secrets. They are also thinking of ways to seize the Xinjia Gate. It's good to meet them. Maybe we can find a way to use those immortals to work together to take the Xinjia Gate. What I meant before was to directly break the barrier of the Zhuotian realm. The three of us will work together to kill those immortals. We have no choice. Now that there's a way to choose, why don't we go out and try? Once we forcefully kill our way into the Zhuotian realm, fighting with Realm Master Zhuotian will consume a lot of our energy. At that time, what if the other immortals take advantage of us? Since the two of you have already discussed it, I have no objections. We will go and meet those immortals. We can also grasp their strength. After the three of them discussed, Seven-Star Child finally agreed to go to the Zhuotian realm. Zhuotian realm. The world barrier was no longer as vast as before. Haha, I didn't expect Realm Master Zhuotian to actually meet us. Inside the world barrier, a Devil Dao expert was leading a large number of evil experts. They were waiting for something. This expert was the Great Devil King from the Upper Heaven Devil realm. After waiting for a while, an immortal and an expert with the aura of a realm master led dozens of experts and easily passed through the world barrier. Greetings, Realm Master. Greetings, Devil Lord. The Great Devil King led close to 10,000 Devil Dao experts and bowed to the two experts. That Realm Master seemed to be the supreme Realm Master of the Upper Heaven Devil realm. He turned to look at the world barrier behind him. Zhuotian Realm Master indeed erased the world seal. This time, he really wants to discuss something with us immortals. The Devil Lord beside him had a terrifying immortal aura. He said disdainfully, a small Realm Master. If we don't let the immortals seize the Xinjia Gate, then the Zhuotian realm will quickly become a speck of dust in the galaxy under the attack of the immortals. The Realm Master asked again, Devil Lord, you once said that there might be immortals from the Deqian immortal realm. If we really meet them, can we join forces with them? Join forces with them. The Devil Lord from the lower realm sneered. You think that just because they're all from the Deqian immortal realm, immortals should be a family. The Deqian immortal realm is a large world. There are countless factions inside. They're all fighting openly and secretly. They will not let this Devil Lord get the Shinja Gate for free. If we want to find immortals to cooperate with, we might as well find immortals from other large worlds. After saying that, he suddenly looked at the world barrier in the distance. The heavenly Devil Realm Master and the great Devil Lord also looked over. There is actually an immortal light that brazenly passed through the world barrier and entered the Zhuotian realm. Immortals. There were immortals who entered the Zhuotian realm and quickly flew towards the outer region islands. The heavenly Devil Realm Master looked at the great Devil Lord and ordered sternly, "Bring everyone to continue plundering the resources and foundations of the various factions in the Zhuotian realm. Currently, this Lord and the Devil Lord plan to use all our strength to obtain the Shinja Gate. If possible, we will also kill the Zhuotian Realm Master and merge with the Zhuotian realm to become another small world under the Devil Dao. Remember to capture more female cultivators. Let the experts under this Lord have righteous Dao women to dual cultivate and collect in-chi." This is easy. With a wave of his hand, the great Devil Lord brought many experts with similar cultivation and strength to fly towards the depths of the Zhuotian realm. As for the two peerless devils, they also brought some experts and flew towards the Shinja Gate. Outer region islands flying Immortal Island. Above the mysterious sailboat-like Dao artifact in the middle, the clouds were suddenly shattered by an invisible palm force. A portion of the Shinja Gate was exposed under the sunlight. Shinja Gate, a peerless Dao artifact that fell from the sky, had caused many bloody storms. It looked like a sail, but it was more like a gate. The palm force in the clouds was suddenly retracted by an expert. Beside this expert was Master Heiyun and other experts. They were all Zhuotian Realm's origin experts. There were actually more than 100 of them. Each of their strength had reached the peak of 3 calamities. Which one of them was not at the level of a leader of a large faction? More than 100 experts waited for a moment before they sensed some immortal light and starlight falling from the sky. Some experts were unable to restrain their anger. Some looked at Master Heiyun. "Senior brother Heiyun, these immortals came to my Zhuotian realm so impudently. We are unable to understand Master's thoughts. Now that the immortals are descending from different worlds, some of them are also from the same world. They treat the Shinja Gate as something they must obtain. If we do not think of a way, then the entire world will be destroyed by the immortals." Master Heiyun was like a cold rock. With the immortal strength, destroying a small world is not a problem. With so many immortals, it's the aura of Eternal Heaven Realm. An expert pointed at the first aura that came down. He recognized that it came from another small world, Eternal Heaven Realm. The distance between Eternal Heaven Realm and my Zhuotian realm is about the same as Wutan Realm. In the past, our relationship was not bad. We have also interacted with the origin experts there. I did not expect them to turn hostile now. Another expert's killing intent was on the verge of erupting. So only you Realm Lord disciples are here. The astonishing aura of Eternal Heaven Realm suddenly descended. The aura gradually spread above the Shinja Gate. Numerous experts and dozens of people surrounded the 3 great experts. One of them had the aura of a mortal, but his aura was extraordinary. He had the aura of a ruler. It was obvious that he was the Realm Lord of Eternal Heaven Realm. The other 2 were naturally immortals. Because their aura was too empty, they did not use their immortal aura. Chapter 762. Immortal. The 100 or so experts below all had their bodies and minds stretched taut. Furthermore, they were actually 2 immortals. Coupled with the Sector Lord of Eternal Heaven Domain and so many Origin Realm experts, even if Zhuotian Domain used all its strength, it would be difficult to resist. One immortal was barely enough, but one more immortal? Immortals from the Eternal Heaven Domain coming to my Zhuotian Domain to act so presumptuously. Suddenly, an immortal radiance appeared. It did not come from the sky. Instead, it flew over from the horizon. The immortals, world lords, and experts of Eternal Heaven Domain all looked over unhappily. Could it be me? Wizard Heiyun's face was suddenly filled with shock. An expert at the side seemed to have noticed something and said in shock, That's the Supreme God Sect's aura from the ruins of the Spirit Sect. I was guarding the water region and the continent, so I knew the Supreme God Sect very well. I didn't expect the Supreme God Sect to send immortals down to the mortal world. The other experts were puzzled. Wasn't the Supreme Deity Sect only established 10,000 years ago? How could there be immortals descending to the mortal world, and from the great world descending to the mortal world so quickly? At this moment, that expanse of immortal light was released, and a sinister aura was released from within. There were 3 great experts, 2 immortals, and 1 elder. They were surrounded by the experts of the Supreme God Sect. There were more than 1,000 of them. The 2 immortals from the eternal heaven domain looked at each other in surprise and secretly communicated. They are immortals from the sky-bearing great world. It seems that there are many ascenders from the sky-bearing great world who flew into that great world. His strength and cultivation are about the same as ours. Let's talk about it later. Another immortal nodded and glanced at the realm master of Eternal Heaven Realm. Under the lead of the 2 immortals, the Supreme God Sect came to the other side of the Shinja Gate. The disciples of the Supreme God Sect all puffed out their chests and looked down on everything. There were 2 immortals. The Supreme God Sect, which was only considered an ordinary power in the Zhuotian realm, actually had 2 immortals. How could those experts not view themselves as high and mighty? 2 more immortal beams. An immortal of the eternal heaven domain suddenly looked up at the sky. On the left and right above him, 2 beams of immortal light appeared, and on the right, another beam of immortal light appeared. One side has the aura of the righteous Tao, while the other side has the aura of the demonic Tao. One side is the aura of the great gone immortal world, while the other side is the aura of the sky-bearing great world. The 2 immortals of the Supreme God Sect also shone with immortal light. The 2 immortals were clearly surprised. There are actually immortals from the sky-bearing great world who came down to the lower realm. This time, we can finally find an ally and work together to deal with the other immortals. That might not be the case. We all come from the same sky-bearing great world, but we're all hiding our identities. Cooperating with them is easier said than done. Who knows, the other party might want to eat us up and obtain the Shinja Gate for themselves. The other immortal didn't see it that way. First, an evil immortal light with devil chi appeared. It turned out to be the immortal from the heavenly demon world, as well as the realm master and other experts. On the other side, the immortal glow of the righteous path also appeared. Seeing this righteous, immortal aura, Master Heiyun was very surprised. It's actually the sector lord of the Beichin zone beside us, as well as 2 immortals. Many experts were secretly angry. The Beichin zone has a good relationship with us, and there's also the Chilean star and the Lingmeng star. However, this Beichin zone actually came to snatch a bite at this time. That's really despicable. How can there be friends for the sake of benefits? They all condemned the immortal from the Beichin zone. Almost at this time, another immortal glow that wasn't very strong appeared. It came from the sky. 7-star child, Huang Yuran, the young man, and the Wu-Tan Realm Master led many experts and came with the aura of the 3 great immortals. This scene attracted the attention of many people, including those immortals. 2 of them are from the Yuan Lu Great World, and 1 is from the Shinao Great World. These 3 great immortals seem to have formed an alliance. Some immortals secretly thought. It was also at this time that an immortal glow suddenly appeared from the surroundings. But this time, only 1 immortal appeared with a few experts. Not only that, there were also 3 immortals who appeared in the end. There were a total of 14 immortals. When Master Heiyun and the other 100 experts saw so many immortals floating in all directions around the Shinja Gate, they were already suppressed by the divine aura of those immortals to the point that they couldn't recover from their shock and fell into a deep array formation. It was fine if they didn't come, but when they did, there were 14 immortals. With so many immortals, not to mention destroying the Zhuotian realm, it wouldn't be difficult to unify this galaxy. The various immortals were also secretly sizing each other up. Some immortals came from the same great world, and their gazes were not friendly. Almost all of them were cold. The realm master from the heavenly demon world and the demon sovereign from the lower world were the only demonic experts among them. Compared to the two immortals from the supreme god sect, their auras were even more evil. The heavenly demon world master coldly swept his gaze in all directions. We are all here. Realm Master Zhuotian, it's time for you to show yourself. If you don't show yourself, our forces can directly take the Xinjia Gate. The other immortals were motionless like rocks. The remaining mortals were looking around, waiting for the mysterious Realm Master Zhuotian. Everyone has worked hard. A few breaths later, a yellow-clothed figure appeared in front of Master Heiyun and the other experts. This surprised the immortals and many experts. Realm Master Zhuotian suddenly appeared like this, as expected of the master of the Zhuotian realm. Realm Master Zhuotian was dressed in yellow, and his 40-years-old appearance was somewhat outstanding. He looked calm as he cupped his fists and bowed to the immortals and realm masters. Don't talk nonsense. Just say what you want to say. One of the two immortals from the Beichen zone, the young immortal, shouted indifferently. Realm Master Zhuotian was not angry and purposely bowed alone. Everyone has come to my Zhuotian realm. Naturally, everyone knows why you are here. In front of all the experts, Realm Master Zhuotian's voice was even louder. Then I'll be frank. Everyone has come to my Zhuotian realm. Naturally, you're not here for my Zhuotian realm. Zhuotian realm is just a small world. What is there that is worthy of your attention? My Zhuotian realm is just a small world, and its materials are very ordinary. It is nothing in a large world. Not long ago, there was an expert from the Eternal Heaven realm who stole my Tianhu spirit tree. That spirit tree was planted by the first realm master of my Zhuotian realm, Li Tianjua. It had been nurturing for countless years, but it was still lost. He then looked at the experts from the Eternal Heaven realm, the realm master, and the two immortals. However, since it is a spirit item, it is also an ordinary item. If it is gone, then it is gone. Everyone is here for the Xinjia Gate. I remember that 200,000 years ago, when the Xinjia Gate descended, it attracted a rain of blood. A large number of powers came to snatch the Xinjia Gate, and there were also a few immortals who came down. That time was truly a calamity for my Zhuotian realm. I don't want to think about it too much. In these years, because of this Tao item, it has attracted a lot of trouble. My Zhuotian realm's world essence has been greatly affected. In truth, this Xinjia Gate is just a hot potato in my hands. The more this hot potato stays in my hands, the more trouble it will bring. I have learned from my mistakes, and I have been in seclusion for this period of time. This is also the reason why I haven't personally paid a visit to the immortals. Finally, I have thought it through. Since it is a hot potato, and I don't have the ability to protect it, why not obtain it? When he said this, Realm Master Zhuotian was silent for a moment. He even felt a bit depressed and helpless. He once again strengthened his voice and emphasized, "Today, I will make a decision to everyone. From today onwards, this Xinjia Gate is no longer an item of my Zhuotian realm. It belongs to you immortals, and I will no longer care about it. Next, I will change the plate of the Zhuotian realm's continent, and let this outer realm archipelago be located in the depths of the water. I hope that everyone will not destroy the other continents of my Zhuotian realm, as well as the spirit source lands. I am extremely grateful." Master, while the immortals were still in shock and surprise, Master Heiyun and the other experts spoke first. Clearly, they didn't know that Zhuotian realm was going to say this today. Giving up the Xinjia Gate for nothing? Was this what a realm master should do? From now on, would the Zhuotian realm still have a place to stand in this Star River? Realm Master Zhuotian coldly swept a glance at everyone, causing all the experts to immediately bow and remain silent. I will take my leave first. As for how you all want to deal with this Xinjia Gate, it has nothing to do with my Zhuotian realm. He added with certainty and led his unwilling subordinates to fly into the air in a sorry state. They gradually left the Xinjia Gate and arrived at the periphery of the Outer Realm archipelago. Outside this continent with the Xinjia Gate, Realm Master Zhuotian seemed to have forgotten about those wolf-like immortals. In short, he slowly released the aura of nothingness, and a vast aura of heaven and earth surged towards him. Slowly, the Outer Realm archipelago was moving towards the depths of the water. He then brought the experts and flew high into the sky. From high up in the sky, he looked down at the moving Outer Realm archipelago, then looked at the surrounding islands, as well as the many continents in the depths. When immortals fought, it would definitely affect the endless world. Unexpectedly, under Realm Master Zhuotian's bright eyes and rolling divine might, the islands and small continents in the depths of the water in all directions were slowly moving towards their respective backs. Even the huge continents in the distance were slowly moving away. Realm Master Zhuotian was changing the plate of the Zhuotian Realm's continent, causing all the material islands and continents to move towards the depths. In a vast water area in the center, there was only one continent, Outer Realm Archipelago. Suddenly, an expert couldn't help but kneel down. Your Honor, we don't understand why. Why did you give up the Xinjia Gate to those immortals for nothing? That's right. Everyone knelt down. Although my Zhuotian realm has the ability to contend against immortals, so what? More than 10 immortals are eyeing us covetously. We can fight against 1 immortal, 2 immortals, but can we fight against more than 10 immortals? Realm Master Zhuotian was helpless, but suddenly he regained his unfathomable expression. In reality, it looks like this lord is taking a step back, but in reality, this is just a scheme, just a chess move. It's my preconceived idea, a chess move, and then I was able to bring those immortals into this chess game, and in the end, I plan it step by step. Master will definitely not give up the Tao artifact for nothing. After Master Heiyun heard this, he was no longer depressed. Immortals are powerful, this lord admits it. However, I have painstakingly cultivated in this Zhuotian realm for many years and have operated for many years. How can I let these immortals be so impudent? Don't think too much. Since Master has planned this chess game, next, I have a way to deal with these immortals. I want them to know regret, to know the consequences of ignoring me. Next, all of you return to the place you are guarding and hide well. As long as those immortals don't snatch the source of the Earth's core, don't do anything. For now, we can only endure. In front of 100 experts, Realm Master Zhuotian began to give orders. Boom! Not long after, in the empty water area deep in the outer region, immortal light suddenly exploded, shocking the heavens. Clearly, immortals had taken action. However, there wasn't much movement soon, and no one knew what those immortals were doing. Chapter 763. Just as the Zhuotian world was undergoing a huge change, the outer region islands in the depths of the water domain suddenly fell silent. The flying celestial island had almost turned into ruins. The explosion just now had leveled most of the flying celestial island to the ground. The outer region islands were much bigger than the Heaven Gore domain. The flying celestial island was about the same size as the Heaven Gore domain. The explosion just now had almost destroyed the entire Heaven Gore domain. In the dust, immortal light flickered. Within the immortal light were experts and immortals. Above the Xinjia Gate, there were 2 immortals facing each other. The explosion just now was probably caused by these 2 immortals. One of the immortals seemed to be related to the Supreme God sect, while the other immortal did not have the aura of the Zhuotian world. He was an expert from the Beichen zone. The Supreme God sect immortal looked coldly at the Beichen zone immortal in front of him. You and I are both from the sky-bearing great world, but this is the Zhuotian world. Back then, I ascended from here to the sky-bearing great world. No matter what, you ascended from the Beichen zone. This Xinjia Gate should belong to my Supreme God sect. The Beichen zone immortal mocked back. You are merely a force that has been established for less than 20,000 years. What right do you have to speak? The Supreme God sect has also established many merchant associations in the Beichen zone. It seems that my Zhuotian world has been too tolerant of your supreme god sect. You have only ascended for a few years, so you better be tactful. You still dare to boast that the Xinjia Gate belongs to your supreme god sect? Isn't that a joke? The Zhuotian world lord has already made his stance clear. Who do you think you are? Even if you ascend to the sky-bearing great world, you will only be a small immortal. If you offend me, you will not offend me. It belongs to whoever has the strength and ability. The young man from the Wu-Tan world, who was with the Wu-Tan world lord and the Green Lotus Sword sect immortal Huang Yuan, suddenly shouted in disdain. An expert from the Yuan fortune great world. The Beichen zone immortal's expression froze. Chi, who knew? On the other side, a figure bursting with devil chi suddenly leaped out. His speed had long surpassed teleportation, and he grabbed at the Xianjia Gate that had fallen to the ground with only a part of it exposed. It turned out to be the immortal demon monarch from the great Xian immortal world who had come with the heavenly demon world master. This treasure is not something you can obtain just because you want it. Suddenly, an immortal charged out from the Beichen zone's camp. Luo Yinghao will not agree. It was a middle-aged man. The immortal devil monarch asked coldly, "You and I are both from the Deqian immortal world. Why don't we work together to deal with outsiders? Who wants to work with you? You're someone from the devil Dao. Even the great Qian celestial world. You'll be hunted down everywhere. Today, I'll get rid of you in this small world." Luo Yinghao rushed to the front of the demon lord. The surrounding immortals sneered. The experts of the great Qian immortal world are biting each other like dogs. Pa! The demon monarch and Luo Yinghao each made a move. The two immortals clashed above the Xinjia Gate and dodged at the same time. This move was fast and fierce. It seemed that as the two of them dodged, it didn't have much power. But the shockwave immediately exploded, forming a distorted oval shape that tore apart the center of the shockwave. The shockwave turned into a black hole that swept toward the surrounding immortals. Bang! None of the immortals wanted the other party to be able to obtain the Xinjia Gate so easily. Previously, they had been hiding in the dark because they were a bit afraid of Realm Master Zhuotian. After all, immortals had come down to the lower realms. Although they were omnipotent, it was still difficult for them to deal with a Realm Master. No one wanted to be the first to fight a Realm Master. If both sides were injured, the other immortals hiding in the dark would benefit. But now it was different. There was no Realm Master here, only them. It was impossible to split the Xinjia Gate into different parts and let each immortal obtain a part. As the destructive power of the shockwave surged, another immortal appeared. It was an immortal who appeared alone. He released a shocking immortal light, and a wave of immortal chi and divine might grabbed at the Xinjia Gate. Another explosion. The immortal's terrifying power hit the Xinjia Gate, forming a backlash that flipped the immortal over. However, the Xinjia Gate still didn't move. What a powerful Dao artifact! The immortal who was flipped over exclaimed in disbelief. Of course, if it wasn't powerful, it would have been taken by some immortals long ago. And I would also have a share. The demon monarch from the Great Gone celestial world released a large number of clones that brushed past the immortal who was sent flying. He first sneered, then shot out a poisonous gas from his eyes that almost hit the immortal. The immortal was so frightened that he quickly dodged. The demon monarch took advantage of the turbulent immortal light around him to pounce at the Xinjia Gate. But when he arrived, an immortal had already released a large amount of immortal light to grab the Xinjia Gate. It was Huang Yuan, an immortal who had ascended from the Green Lotus Sword sect in the Wu-Tan realm. Huang Yuan grabbed with great force, wanting to take the Xinjia Gate with such a good opportunity. However, his power didn't shake the Xinjia Gate. Instead, it shook the Xinjia Gate. The other immortal lights also attacked. 222 in the outer region of the extraterritorial islands. A shock wave swept out from the inside like a storm, and a large number of mountains and forests started to be destroyed. Then, there were waves of colliding auras or shock waves. In the end, the mountains were instantly flattened and turned into dust. The forests were also gradually crushed into powder. It seemed that the extraterritorial islands were about to be destroyed. The immortal lights that kept coming from the depths were like a broom that swept the ruins of the extraterritorial islands again and again, sweeping away a large number of rocks and soil. At the same time, these shockwaves and auras didn't disappear after they rushed out of the extraterritorial islands. Instead, they surged into the water, and soon, huge waves that were dozens of feet tall were formed. These huge waves could also kill any Ascension Realm cultivator. As for the immortal lights that rushed out from the center of the extraterritorial islands, even Ascension Realm cultivators had the possibility of being killed. The power of the immortals was really terrifying. However, in a faraway land, in the former Crimson Sky continent, this gourd-like continent was constantly moving. The venerable immortal is right. Realm Lord Jwation is indeed moving countless continents to the depths. Then, if Realm Lord Jwation doesn't interfere in the fight between the immortals, that king can seize the resources of the twin immortal sect below, as well as the countless female disciples. Hundreds of experts rode clouds and mist to the moving Crimson Sky continent, which was no longer in the waters of the past. The leader was Great Demon King. To do this, Demon King was already very powerful. 3 Calamity Realm experts, and the experts he brought were all Ascension Realm cultivators. Of course, he was also the only one with 3 Calamity Realm cultivation. We've already heard about the Twin Immortal Sect, but in this Jwation realm, there are only a few female cultivator factions, and there's also the Zuinv Pavilion. Let's seize the Twin Immortal Sect first, then go for the Zuinv Pavilion. Haha, brothers, since we've come to the Jwation realm this time, it's the best time to capture women. In our heavenly devil realm, the price of any woman is a large number of pure origin pills. Except for Great Demon King, the others were all experts of the Devil Tao, and their devil chi was heaven-defying. In the clouds, they could vaguely see the Twin Immortal Sect on the ground. Twin Immortal Sect. It was a righteous faction in the Crimson Sky continent, and it was between first-rate and second-rate factions. It wasn't too much to say that it had first-rate strength, but it couldn't be compared to other first-rate factions. The main reason was that the Twin Immortal Sect focused on dual cultivation, and they often interacted with other major factions. They used their sect's women to dual cultivate with other factions' outstanding disciples. Not only could they build relationships, but they could also make the sect's disciples stronger. In the Crimson Sky continent, the Twin Immortal Sect didn't have a good reputation, and they were both righteous and evil like the Supreme God Sect. At this moment, in the Twin Immortal Sect, usually the training grounds were quiet, and countless disciples were immersed in cultivation. But today, many high-level disciples were gathered at a mountain peak, as if something big was happening. On the other side of the mountain peak, in a valley surrounded by forests. Junior sister, you're still cultivating, and Master went to the Hall of Masters. He heard that something big happened in the Jwation realm. There was a waterfall inside layers of barriers, and the waterfall hid a water curtain cave. It was truly a cultivation holy land. Inside the cave, a woman was meditating. Beside her stood another woman with an anxious expression. The meditating woman was Zhang Ruyun, the female cultivator that Su Fong had met in the Ascension Immortal Island. Beside her was her senior sister Yin Chan. Seeing that Zhang Ruyun was still cultivating, Yin Chan became even more anxious. Are you going or not? Something big is really happening in the Jwation realm. You've been in seclusion here for more than 100 years. You should go out for a walk. Zhang Ruyun raised her eyebrows. Senior sister, you can't calm down. Our Twin Immortal Sect focuses on dual cultivation, and we don't test our own hard work. Do we have to find those men to strengthen ourselves through dual cultivation? I didn't say that we have to rely on men to cultivate. I just want to go out for a walk. You and I can continue our seclusion here, and I'm already tired of it. Junior sister, you still need to cultivate for a while. Let's go. Yin Chan almost wanted to drag Zhang Ruyun away. Wait. Suddenly, Zhang Ruyun released her aura and immediately suppressed Yin Chan's aura and looked up. Junior sister, what's wrong? Yin Chan sensed for a while, but she didn't feel anything. Back then, when we returned from the Ascension Immortal Island, Your strength kept increasing at a crazy rate, and you're far stronger than me, and even master. But you want to lie to me? What's the matter? Let's go. Zhang Ruiyun's expression was grave. There really is a baleful aura, and it's coming toward my sect. Hey, you really don't want to go out with me. Back then, when we were training on the Ascension Immortal Island, we encountered demonic beasts and strong enemies. We even met senior brother Su Fong, who had already left the Celestial Sealing sect. At that time, I indeed absorbed a special Xianguang, and since then my cultivation has transformed, and I have many abilities. So I'm not joking with you, and immediately informed Master that there's a lot of baleful aura approaching my sect. Don't be so serious, okay? Although the Zhuotian domain hasn't been peaceful for decades, and many factions and sects have been destroyed or disappeared, but this matter cannot be delayed. Okay. In the end, Yin Chan was shaken by Zhang Ruiyun's urgent and intimidating gaze, and she chose to believe her. She immediately urged her will. Boom, boom. Who would have thought that before this one could make a move? The entire cave shook violently, and the formation and imprints above began to shatter. A wave of demonic aura came from the shattered formation, and with a terrifying momentum, it poured in, devouring the formation and the imprints in the cave. Moreover, cracks were also tearing open under their feet. Zhang Run suddenly said, "Someone is attacking the sect." Really? Yin Chan, who was in the midst of the turmoil and collapse, was already trembling in fear. In an instant, under the defensive power released by the two, the entire cave shattered, and the barrier collapsed. The two of them almost fell into the bottomless crack under their feet along with the debris. Zhang Ruiyun reacted in time and brought Yin Chan out of the demonic aura and flew out forcefully. Haha, I didn't expect that the pure yin qi of these two little girls would be so shocking, and they're still virgins. This king wants them. The two of them flew out of the collapse formation, and in front of them was no longer the twin immortal sect of the past, but everywhere was burning with demonic flames, and the sect had turned into charcoal. A demonic figure flashed over, holding a Tao artifact. It just so happened to meet Zhang Ruiyun and Yin Chan. It was the Great Demon King. Chapter 764. Demon. Yin Chan and Zhang Ruiyun were instantly frightened by the Great Demon King, who had appeared without a sound. The Great Demon King was alone. He slightly suppressed the evil light released by the Tao artifact in his hand as he sized up the two women. The two girls retreated in fear. Yin Chan barely blocked Zhang Ruiyun behind her. "Junior sister, let's work together." Zhang Ruiyun transmitted her voice. "No, this demon has an extraordinary origin. He doesn't have the aura of the Zhuotian realm. He's an outsider. Not only is his cultivation 100 times stronger than Master, but even the current sect master of the dual immortal sect isn't 1/10 as strong as him. He also has an extremely powerful Tao artifact. Then what should we do? Wait, try to delay. This." Yin Chan's face became even paler. "Junior sister, haven't you reached the Ascension realm in the past few hundred years? Can't you deal with this person? This person is very strong. We can only delay." Zhang Ruiyun was very sure, but she wasn't as afraid as Yin Chan. Sneak attack my dojo and kill these demons. After a few breaths, as expected, more than 100 disciples flew out from the ruins, mainly male disciples. They're here. Yin Chan was so excited that she danced. A bunch of ants. It just so happens that I want to cultivate the Supreme Blood Soul technique. I'll use your corpses and essence blood to create a blood furnace. The Great Demon King suddenly flicked his finger. He grabbed at the air again. There didn't seem to be much movement, and his aura wasn't shocking. But in an instant, the 100 or so disciples were all frozen in space. They couldn't use their Dharma treasures or release their auras. Whoosh! The Great Demon King suddenly disappeared. He then appeared around the disciples and flashed, easily sucking them into his palm. "Let's go." Zhang Ruiyun finally got the chance to drag the dumbstruck Yin Chan and immediately fled into the sky. She also saw many disciples beginning to flee. "Where are you going?" In less than a second breath, The great demon king arrived above the two of them. An invisible aura shook the two girls, especially Yin Chan, who almost died. You two Purine girls are the best tonics for me when I use my true chi or am seriously injured. How can I let you go? As for you guys, the male disciples will become sacrifices in this king's hands so that I can break through the last doomsday and ascend to the great world. As for the dual immortal sex female disciples, I naturally won't let a single one go. Hee hee, the righteous paths women are the best cultivation resources for my devil path. Run. After he finished, the great demon king flashed in the sky. The great demon king Dao, the great demon king, disappeared. Great demon king Dadu then looked into the depths of the dojo, where a large amount of mystic light and demonic light were clashing. So. He waved his hand, and a Dao artifact celestial light shot towards the Xian light that was fighting against the demonic energy. Asterisk, 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 planet Chilian. Deep underground, a large forest was destroyed by the heavenly tribulation. The undying turtle was lying in the ruins. It looked like a mountain. Su Fong was surrounded by a large amount of spiritual qi on its shell. It slowly opened its eyes. It was still crazily absorbing spiritual qi and various resources. Counting with his fingers, Zhang Xian said, 5 years have passed, and my cultivation has already reached first-level feather transformation realm. Over the past few years, I have been cultivating the human emperor's supreme technique and the ethereal myriad laws Dao from the ethereal quintessence, striving to further fuse with the power of the human emperor world. He looked at the sky. It's time to return to the Zhuetian realm. I'll go to the celestial ceiling sect to find Sheng Changsheng and take back the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Undying turtle, how are you? Not bad. I feel like I've changed a lot. Don't worry, I won't go back on my words. I'll help you. Let's go. I'll crush whatever force you want to deal with. Don't you want to deal with the primordial god world? You're still so powerful. Hee hee, you're underestimating my abilities. Although Lord Turtle doesn't have many abilities, my teeth are even harder than your Star Daylight sword. In truth, my innate ability isn't just my turtle shell, I also have my teeth. Back in the Immortal Melody world, when I was fighting against the greater demons, I had to eat up quite a few continents to steal their cultivation techniques and treasures. Is that so? Then you'll be of great use. It's time to leave this place. You can cultivate in the mini-universe immortal pot. Whoosh! He leaped into the air, holding the mini-universe immortal pot and sucking the undying turtle inside. With the heavenly gourd spirit tree in the Dao artifact space, the undying turtle would have a companion. He erased everything and summoned the two experts back. He stepped into the first level of the feather transformation realm and teleported without using his world energy. He disappeared in a flash. In 3 breaths, he flew out of planet Chilian. Buzz! Just as he rushed to the Zhuetian realm, a thought came from another part of the starry sky. Su Fong, are you in the Zhuetian realm? There have been many changes in the Zhuetian realm recently. Contact me. The thought came from Yu Yingying. After thinking for a while, he activated the rune talisman and sent out a thought. After a while, Yu Yingying's thought came from the other side of the rune talisman. My spies in the Zhuetian realm sent news. Now, more than 10 immortals have appeared in the Zhuetian realm. They also sent many experts to the various cultivation forces in the Zhuetian realm to snatch resources. Su Fong was startled. He was shocked. Is that so? Realm Lord Zhuetian doesn't care? It's not that he doesn't care, but that he can't. I heard that he has already discussed with those immortals and started to move all the continents in the Zhuetian realm to the depths. He will empty the outer region islands and give them to the immortals to snatch the Xinjia Gate. It's fine if Realm Lord Zhuetian just gives up on the Xinjia Gate. There are more than 10 immortals. Even if he is a Realm Lord, he can't do anything. Realm Lord Zhuetian's strength is very mysterious. I have never seen him truly fight in all these years. You have to know that Realm Lords have many abilities. Every Realm Lord is not simple. But then again, Realm Lords like Realm Lord Zhuetian can be counted on one hand in a small world. I also don't believe that he will just let the immortals and other powers do whatever they want in the Zhuotian realm. I also don't care about that. I have already obtained the heavenly gourd spirit tree from the Zhuotian realm and am leaving planet Chilian. I plan to go back and take back a treasure that belongs to me. In the future, whoever obtains the Xinjia Gate in the Zhuotian realm will have nothing to do with me. Of course, I also want to obtain the Zhuotian realm, but it seems that it's impossible now. You can still obtain the heavenly gourd spirit tree. According to what I know, it was an expert under the eternal heaven realm lord called Go Tianxua who took it away. Miss even knows this. It's true that Go Tianxua took the heavenly gourd spirit tree, but on the way I plotted to kill him. I reckon that the eternal heaven realm lord and a lower realm immortal called Luo Yinghao are quite angry. You really can do anything. Next, I have something to discuss with you. It's about the three immortals of the Wu Tan realm. The three immortals of the Wu Tan realm? Aren't they Huang Yuan, the young man, and the seven-star child? Su Fong asked again. I was just about to ask about their movements. They also entered the Zhuotian realm and appeared openly. I reckon that they are currently fighting with those immortals to snatch the Xinjia Gate. Last time, because of your matter, my spirit mist realm has already offended the three immortals. Regardless of whether they can obtain the Xinjia Gate or not, they will most likely attack my spirit mist realm. These immortals will not allow others to blaspheme their immortal might in the mortal realm. Miss, just tell me what to do. This matter started because of me, so I cannot shirk my responsibility. My master's intention is that since they are likely to attack the spirit mist realm, then we can only fight. Right now, they are fighting for the Xinjia Gate in the Zhuotian realm. I don't know what the result is, so you should try your best to become stronger and prepare. If you want my master's help, then come back to the spirit mist realm. My master will think of a way to let you have the essence of the spirit mist realm. Sixth Lord, give me the essence of the spirit mist realm. Su Fong was shocked when he heard this. How could the essence of a world be given to someone so casually? While he was shocked, he quickly experienced the helplessness of the Sixth Lord. If the three of them attacked the spirit mist realm, it would be difficult for him to deal with them. The spirit mist realm would suffer calamity, just like the Zhuotian realm right now. Yu Yingying continued, don't think too much. In truth, when you first came to the spirit mist realm and came in contact with me, my master secretly sensed your aura and found that your aura contained the essence of a small world. You're practically a realm lord. You're really careful and cautious. You didn't even let me know your true identity. I also just started fusing with a small world. Miss, I hope you can help me thank the Sixth Lord. Just say that I don't need the essence of the spirit mist realm. I can join hands with Senior Sixth Lord to deal with the three immortals. I'll go take back that treasure and then rush back to the spirit mist realm. Su Fong sent a final thought to the rune talisman. His gaze was extremely firm. Since you've made your choice, I'll pass on the message. Be careful, they are immortals. Yu Yingying's voice finally disappeared from the rune talisman. I have to rush back to the Zhuotian realm in a few months. Putting away the rune talisman, he looked at the distant Zhuotian realm and flew off on his sword. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Ha ha. Little girl, just watch as I capture all the girls from the House of Immortal Sealing. I'm going to build a female slave garden for you, far away from the Outer Realm Islands. There were over 100 experts. They were led by one of the seven-star child subordinates, the Stone Golem. The Stone Golem had the appearance of a middle-aged man. A special Earth-type spiritual chi came out of him, along with a bit of monstrous chi. He was sitting on a throne, and next to him was Lan Haicheng, who was chained up. After passing through the water domain, they arrived at the Crimson Firmament Continent. Once they entered the continent, Lan Haicheng saw the Immortal Sealing sect grow closer and closer. Her tired eyes suddenly became sharp. You want to deal with the Immortal Sealing sect? Without the seven-star child, you won't be able to take them down. There are many reasons why I want to take down the Immortal Sealing sect. The first is for that bastard Su Fong, and the second is for Huang Lingyao, whom you know very well. Just watch. The Stone Golem snorted indifferently. He was completely confident. Before long, They arrived at the Zhuotian realm's true power, the immortal sealing sect. The stone golem turned to the 100-plus experts behind him and ordered, "Brats, this is the time for you to show your loyalty to the immortal sovereign. The immortal sovereign doesn't raise trash. Attack. Use the formation to break the immortal sealing gate's barrier. Kill everyone you see." Whoosh! Over 100 experts suddenly flew out. It didn't take long for more than 100 people to arrive above the immortal bestowment sect's Dao field. Together, they unleashed an enormous spell formation palm print, which slammed into the Dao field's barrier with thunderous force. Chapter 765. The Celestial Sealing Sect's dojo was definitely going to be destroyed. Bang! However, the stone golem had underestimated the Celestial Sealing Sect. The combined strength of 100 experts was only enough to destroy the outer barrier of the Celestial Sealing Sect's dojo. The inner barrier was still strong. Although the dojo's barrier was not destroyed, a huge commotion arose within the Celestial Sealing Sect. Countless disciples vomited blood due to the shock waves from the destruction of the dojo. Some disciples below the immortality realm died on the spot. They either died in their own cultivation caves, dojos, or palaces. The 7 dojos of the Celestial Sealing Sect were shaken. The disciples above the undying realm came back to their senses. The runes on their bodies moved. It turned out that the Elder Hall was sending orders to the disciples. Many of the formations inside were also affected. Some dojos and mountains collapsed. Many corpses appeared. It was not an exaggeration to say that corpses were everywhere. Everyone, don't panic. Someone is indeed attacking my dojo. However, my dojo's foundation has been established for more than 10,000 years. It won't be so easy to break through. An elder appeared, Yuan Tianzong. He appeared with a large number of experts. He also ordered Elder Fau to gather the surrounding disciples. The other elders also arrived. The elders and higher-ups of the 7 dojos gathered the disciples. I didn't expect the Celestial Sealing Sect's dojo's barrier to be so extraordinary. No wonder it could give birth to a freak like Su Fong. Continue attacking. Outside the dojo, the stone golem was sitting on his throne in the air. He was obviously angered that the dojo was not destroyed. He ordered the experts to continue attacking the dojo. Inside the Celestial Sealing Sect, all kinds of disciples gathered in the air in a panic. Another wave of attacks hit the dojo's barrier. All the disciples were more or less shaken, especially those with lower cultivation bases. The dojos and the depths of the dojos were places where only the higher-ups could cultivate. They had even gone beyond the immortal heaven. One of the top 3 disciples, Huang Lingyao, was inside the dojo. She stood in the middle of the hall. Below her were hundreds of elites from the fragrant jade party she had established. A female disciple could not wait any longer. She stood up and bowed to Huang Lingyao. "Senior sister, the elders and higher-ups are urging us to gather and fight the enemies together." Huang Lingyao indifferently glanced at them. "The enemies outside have ill intentions. I secretly sense that they are related to immortals. They are probably experts sent by immortals to take our resources." Immortals? The fragrant jade party sect. Immortals? Huang Lingyao mysteriously said, "You should gather outside first, but you must be slow. I'll secretly give you orders later. Once you receive my orders, immediately gather with me. If you have any doubts, you must choose to believe in me, because only I can bring you a path of survival." "Yes, senior sister." After Huang Lingyao, the experts. I should also go and find the immortal sealing scripture. I stayed in the immortal sealing sect because of that treasure. Originally, I could follow 7-Star Child. Now that I have gained his trust, he thinks he can control me. To me, strength is everything. After obtaining the immortal sealing scripture, I can enter a peerless realm in a short time. Especially when I use the Cloud Sky Thunder Sword. No immortals can do anything to me. Huang Lingyao suddenly turned. She turned around and struck out a Xianguang. A tunnel appeared in front of her. At the other end of the tunnel was a strange space. There were many treasures, elixirs, secret manuals, and spiritual items. They were all resources. These are the treasures that I have collected after establishing the Fragrant Jade Party. The Immortal Ceiling Sect is just a small pond. Can it trap me? I, Huang Lingyao, was born with a desolate body. I was born extraordinary. Even the Cloud Sky Thunder Sword recognized me as its master. Ling Mubai wants me to bow to him forever. Also, although Seven Star Child is not moved by my beauty, he still cares about my desolate body. He is an immortal, so he can't have a desolate body. Especially after I become an immortal, the desolate body will evolve into a supreme Tao body. That is a peerless physique among immortals. Seven Star Child must know about it. I think he also likes my potential physique. However, what surprised me is that Seven Star Child cares a lot about Su Fong and wants to capture him. I don't know why, but it's not just for him. Su Fong destroyed his second clone on 7-Star Demon Island. Let's not care about this for now. After being in seclusion for so many years, I still have some feelings for the Immortal Ceiling Sect. But today, I have to abandon you. Huang Lingyao sucked all the treasures into her palm. She immediately struck out another rune talisman, and a decadent sound entered it. At this point, without looking back, she stepped out of the Dao Hall and entered another tunnel. After passing through the tunnel, she arrived at a deeper part of the barrier. This barrier was also a space. It was the deepest part of the Immortal Ceiling Sect. There were also a few wills protecting the space barrier. Moments later, the two old men also took control of the passage and met up with Huang Lingyao in the dark. One of the elders was very polite. With his status, he could completely surpass Huang Lingyao, but he still seemed inferior. He cautiously looked at the formation. Lingyao, we've been secretly observing all this time. The leader has indeed returned. Ever since traces of immortals appeared in the Zhuotian realm, he returned from training and only summoned a few old antiques. He didn't even summon the elders. I thought he would summon the disciples of the three venerables Dao. It seems like he's still leaning towards a sect. At this juncture, he only communicates with the old antiques. Even the elders are not allowed. When Huang Lingyao heard this, she coldly looked at the two elders. I once said that the Immortal Ceiling Sect is not a place of loyalty. Now do you believe me? The Immortal Ceiling Sect's capital is in the hands of the leader and those old antiques. Any one of their decisions can abandon countless disciples and higher-ups like you. The other elder solemnly asked, You really want to steal the Immortal Ceiling Scripture? After all these years, what has the Immortal Ceiling Sect given me? Prince Shui and I are the same. The sect's resources can't compare to the Immortal Ceiling Scripture. Why is it that only the old antiques and Ling Mubai can cultivate this sect's most precious treasure? Huang Lingyao became even colder. Am I the only one who can't accept this? What about the rest of you? But the Immortal Ceiling Scripture is the Immortal Ceiling Sect's most important capital. It's even more precious than the Dao item Su Fong offered back then. Because it's a treasure passed down from the Great World, it was obtained by the founder of the Immortal Ceiling Sect. Only the leader can use it. If the old antiques want to cultivate it, they have to get the leader's permission. Lingyao, that's why you became a disciple of the Venerables Dao, and why you insisted on becoming the leader. You've always been planning for the Immortal Ceiling Sect. This isn't a secret. Prince Shui, Sheng Changsheng, the other elders, and the rest of you have the same idea. Since that's the case, we'll do our best to help you steal the Immortal Ceiling Scripture. But after this, there's no turning back. The Immortal Ceiling Sect will see us as a great enemy. Don't worry. You've been secretly supporting the Fragrant Jade Gang for so many years. You've given me all the benefits. Of course, I'll remember your kindness. Now that I have the support of the Immortals, you can rest assured. Once we steal the Immortal Ceiling Scripture, we'll meet up with the Immortals. Huang Lingyao immediately looked ahead. The two old men drove the passageway together with her, heading towards the formation space in front of them. Their speed was not too fast. Another old man said, I've just contacted a few experts. All the disciples of the sect are gathering. The disciples who went out to train will also be back in a few days. Now, the enchantment of the dojo is only one layer away. It will be broken by a strong enemy soon. The sect will immediately prepare to counterattack. Huang Lingyao said, "We can only wait. Right now, Ling Mubai is still in the sacred space. Once he leaves, we can steal the immortal sealing scripture." The three of them used different hand seals to merge layers of the formation with the spiritual qi in front of them. The consciousness in the formation couldn't detect their presence. Outside, the immortal sealing sect. I told you, the immortal sealing sect isn't something you can destroy just because you want to. Hundreds of experts were still attacking together. The immortal sealing sect was about to be destroyed. Although Huang Lingyao had abandoned Lan Haicheng and didn't help her, she still had feelings for the immortal sealing sect. Naturally, she didn't want the sect to be destroyed. Humph. The stone golem pretended not to hear. "You'll die if you offend my sect." Then, the last wave of the formation's power was formed. Just as it was about to attack the formation, a tiger's roar came from within the formation. An elder flew out. He waved his staff, and a dragon-like heavenly dragon divine claw appeared. It attacked the formation formed by more than 100 experts. Tut-tut. Just as the formation was about to finish forming, the elder's heavenly dragon divine claw shattered its aura. The entire formation almost collapsed. What a powerful elder. Lan Haicheng finally had some insight. Old Antique. The old antique has appeared. There's also the Grand Elder. The old man held a staff in his hand and led the great elders, and a large number of disciples out of the boundary of the dojo. They were like a tide of people. They all released their auras to strengthen the old man's staff. He made a grabbing motion, and the formation formed by the 100 experts shattered. Lan Haicheng struggled. "That elder is one of the old antiques of my sect. There's no way you can destroy the immortal sealing sect. Don't be so smug. I admit that the immortal sealing sect is powerful, and they have many experts. But do they have immortals behind them? Haha, I have 7-Star Child, and those 2 immortals from the Wu-Tan realm." The stone golem wasn't worried at all. In his eyes, the immortal sealing sect was just a clean piece of meat on a chopping board. Even if they struggled, they still couldn't escape. Formation. There were more than 50,000 disciples from the immortal sealing sect, and they were all undying experts. Most of them were tribulation and ascension realms, while the old antiques were definitely flying immortals. The old man with the staff roared again. Behind him, tens of thousands of people used Goldie's heavenly god cosmic energy under the leadership of the 2 grand elders, Daoist Go Jun and Xiao Yun. A sacred Xian Guang immediately covered the formation of the immortal sealing sect. At this time, the stone golem sat on his throne above the 100 experts. In front of tens of thousands of people, he laughed proudly. "You're still in the mood to create a formation? Instead of wasting your true qi, why don't you save it and fight me?" The old man with the staff had absorbed a large amount of Goldie's heavenly god cosmic energy, and he seemed to be using his grand firmament sword qi. He raised his head and replied, "Sir, you're an expert from the Wu-Tan realm. Why are you crossing the Zhuotian realm to attack my immortal sealing sect?" The stone golem roared. "At this time, an expert like you who has lived for over 10,000 years still thinks that the cultivation world is a reasonable place? That the weak should be trampled on by the strong? Doesn't your immortal sealing sect have a genius disciple called Su Fong? If you offer him to me, I can let your immortal sealing sect off." Su Fong was expelled from my sect long ago. He caused us to lose many experts. My sect is also looking for him. He's long since left my sect. That seems to be Lan Haicheng. Junior apprentice sister Lan. It really is Lan Haicheng. She disappeared a while ago. How could she be with the enemy? After the old antique responded, some of the high-level experts behind him suddenly recognized Lan Haicheng standing next to the stone golem. Chapter 766. Many of the upper echelons of the celestial sealing sect recognized Lan Haicheng. Seeing that she was together with a middle-aged man that the stone golem had transformed into, all sorts of guesses were heard. However, the elders and grand elders were aware that Lan Haicheng had been captured by the stone golem, which made them even more eager to kill her. Grand Elder Xiao Yun and Daoist Go Jun stepped forward and yelled, "If you dare to destroy my dojo again, don't blame my sect for being impolite." Although the Celestial Sealing sect has only been around for 10,000 years, we won't allow anyone to bully us. The stone golem seemed to be enjoying the show. I don't care how long the Celestial Sealing sect has been around. I'm here for a simple reason. Everyone, stop resisting and hand over the resources of the Celestial Sealing sect, including the female disciples. Do you think my sect will agree to such an unreasonable request? Haha. I don't care if you agree or not. If you agree, I'll save myself some trouble. If you don't agree, I'll have to play with you and kill your disciples one by one. I'll leave corpses all over the dojo. I'm taking a step back, yet you're pushing your luck. Do you think the Celestial Sealing sect is afraid of you? All disciples, listen up. Today is a great calamity for my sect. Everyone, work together to fend off the enemies. Let the Zhuotian realm witness the glory of my sect. Set up the formation. The old man and the two grand elders suddenly turn around after staring at the stone golem and the experts. As soon as the words were spoken, the disciples immediately executed a mystical ability under the instructions of the elders and grand elders. A terrifying claw mark could be seen from their auras. It was one of the 7 mystical abilities of the Celestial Sealing sect, the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. Form. The experts at the front obeyed the stone golem's command and executed a hand seal. The Xian Guang, which had destroyed the dojo, was formed in the air. Supreme Blessing. The old man with the cane took a step forward. 2 grand elders led a group of other elders to lead the tens of thousands of disciples from the house of immortal sealing to control the grand spell formation. He slowly waved his staff and stared at the Xian Guang formed by the experts. Whoosh! The Xian Guang suddenly gushed out of the imprint of the formation like a gale and a huge wave. It roared and surged towards the tens of thousands of disciples floating above the immortal sealing sect's training ground. The experts that the stone golem had brought were all experts at the peak of the winged transformation realm and the fairy realm. Their combined strength would definitely be overbearing. Go! The old man held the strange cane in his hand. As he spread out his arm, he suddenly waved the cane fiercely and pointed it at the falling Xian Guang. Whoosh! The staff seemed to be sucking away the power of the spell formation formed by the tens of thousands of disciples of the Celestial Sealing School. A huge heavenly dragon divine claw appeared after the staff pointed out. It was like countless dragons were flying out of the space, forming the image of a flood dragon emerging from the sea. A large number of claw marks were vibrating and gathering together. Boom! The Xian Guang of the formation covered the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. The Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw also ruthlessly clawed at the Xian Guang. At the same time, the sky was filled with deafening sounds of impact, as well as shocking shockwaves. Even the sky was shaking violently. Attack! Continue to attack. The stone golem was not surprised that the Celestial Sealing School could resist the attack of the experts under his command. After all, the Celestial Sealing School was a major force in the Zhuotian realm. If they could take it down with just one move, then the Celestial Sealing School would be no different from a second-rate force. Another Xian Guang of the formation exploded one after another. The old man and tens of thousands of people of the Celestial Sealing School were able to control a huge heavenly dragon divine claw in an instant, fighting with the experts under the stone golem's command in the sky. As expected of a major force, they could resist such an attack. The Celestial Sealing School, in the depths of the forbidden space at the center. Layers of formations shackled this space. Even the elders and the great elders could not step into this space without permission. At this moment, in the depths of the space, there was a large amount of spiritual light, as well as various kinds of sword qi, cold qi, and Xian Guang floating in the void. These 5 old men were the antiques of the Celestial Sealing School. They were stronger than the elders and the great elders, and were at the same level as the heartless granny of the Zuan Pavilion. They were also Ascension Realm experts. The opponent is from the Wu-Tan realm. He's a spiritual practitioner formed from Earthstone. Some of the experts he brought are on par with us. This person has a large amount of the Wu-Tan realm source energy. He's probably related to the Wu-Tan realm lord. There are very few realm lord forces in the Zhuotian realm that come to kill us so openly. I didn't expect that we would encounter one in less than 20,000 years. This is a calamity for our sect. Only by joining hands can we survive this calamity. The auras of the 5 old antiques merged perfectly with the space. It could even be seen that the internal formations of the celestial sealing school were in a rhythm with their auras. They could control any formation of the celestial sealing school. At the same time, they looked ahead, seemingly able to see the scene outside. We should see the leader. The enemy is coming aggressively and is very strong. This time, we can only fight with our full strength. Otherwise, our celestial sealing school. One of the old men suggested. The 5 of them activated their seals together. A moment later, a white-robed man with a white immortal feather around his neck appeared at the end. Ling Mubai, the most mysterious leader of the celestial sealing school, as well as the strongest expert. Leader, the enemy is very strong. They also have a certain amount of immortal chi. They're definitely coming to destroy our sect. This time, the 6 of us will have to go. Even if the 6 of us go, we don't have absolute confidence in killing those experts. I'm afraid the leader will have to fight for the sect. With the leader and the 6 of us, we have at least an 80% chance. Even if countless disciples die, we'll be able to protect the Tao field. As long as the Tao field exists, our sect will exist. If necessary, we'll have to use the immortal sealing scripture. The 5 old men spoke their thoughts. Ling Mubai said imposingly, "This time, we indeed have to defend against a strong enemy. Furthermore, I have already asked the Ziwei Star sect, the True Technique Sacred Immortal sect, and the 10,000 Saints sect of Green Mountain for help. Their reinforcements will arrive very soon. The sect is in danger, and we are duty-bound. Once the time is right, the sect will counterattack with all our might and kill the enemy. As you command, we'll have even more disciples prepare in the Tao field. There are 50,000 elite disciples outside. If we work together, we'll be able to delay them for a while. Once we can't, even more disciples will leave." The old men were extremely courteous to Ling Mubai. After a while, the channel the 5 old men had created vanished. At the end of this space, Ling Mubai was filled with pure spiritual chi, as well as some immortal chi from the great world. He pondered for a moment. Ling Mubai suddenly grabbed a xianguang that had transformed into a channel, and a man walked out. One of the 3 disciples of the Tao of Exalts, Sheng Changsheng. "Cultivate properly here. Wait for my orders." Ling Mubai glanced at Sheng Changsheng mysteriously. He slowly rose to his feet and controlled the barrier. Sheng Changsheng sat down cross-legged, and all the spiritual chi and immortal chi gathered around him. He suddenly looked at Ling Mubai. "You didn't think this would happen, did you? The heavenly Taos are constantly changing, and the wind and clouds are unpredictable. No one knows what will happen tomorrow. The immortal sealing sect is the same. As the leader, all I can do is take responsibility. Since the wind and clouds have already arrived, it's too late to be afraid." After controlling the entire formation, Ling Mubai could probably see everything that happened outside clearly in an instant. Outside the Tao field, another xianguang had been blocked by the heavenly dragon Divine Claw. But this time, the shockwave caused tens of thousands of the immortal sealing sect's disciples to retreat, except for the higher-ups. As for the enemy side, the 100-plus experts were clearly exhausted. They were surprised that the immortal sealing sect would be able to last this long. A new xianguang attack was born. This time, the immortal sealing sect's disciples had been forced back by the shockwave, and the heavenly dragon Divine Claw had been formed a bit late. When it collided with the xianguang, most of the shockwave had struck the immortal sealing sect's barrier. This time, under the protection of Goldie's heavenly god astral energy, the final barriers started to crack, and some places started to collapse. The spiritual energy within the Tao field leaked out from the cracks, and green smoke rose from the cracks. The entire immortal sealing sect's Tao field was on the verge of collapse. It was unknown how many ordinary disciples had been killed here. Fortunately, The tens of thousands of immortal sealing sect's disciples were able to hold on and continued to resist the enemy's attacks. After fighting for a while, most of the immortal sealing sect's disciples were so tired that they were about to collapse. Whoosh! Suddenly, the enemy side's Xianguang attack was still fierce, and most of the immortal sealing sect's disciples were only releasing a bit of their true energy. Seeing that the old man with the cane had a bitter expression on his face, an old man flashed in front of him, holding a royal-grade flying sword of shocking quality. With a slash of his sword, he sent out a shocking wave of Daluo heavenly sword chi. Boom! His sword stopped the Xianguang in midair. "You're here." The old man with the cane looked at the old man with the sword, then looked behind him. Another 4 people flew out. They were the 5 old men who had been in the depths of the formation. "Greetings, 6 old men." Xiao Yun, Daoist Gozhun, and the other elders bowed to the old men. The stone golem focused. "These 6 old fellows aren't simple. Unfortunately, I'm just a spiritual body. I can't see how extraordinary they are in terms of divine abilities." Lan Haicheng became spirited. "These are the 6 old men of the immortal sealing sect. They're called the 6 immortal sealing disciples. Each of them has cultivated for 10,000 years. They started as disciples, then became elders, and finally became such old men. They're hermits and haven't made a move for many years. You can't possibly destroy the immortal sealing sect. The 6 immortal sealing disciples, my ass. Their cultivation bases haven't even reached the 3rd calamity stage. They're only at the 2nd calamity stage. If the 6 of them work together, they might be stronger than me. But how can they deal with me? If you didn't have an immortal supporting you, Su Fong and I would have killed you on the 7-star Demon Island. You wouldn't be where you are today. Without the 7-star children, you wouldn't have been able to condense your true body. Haha, you slut, you're right. I really did rely on an immortal. But what about you? Are you as reliable as an immortal? I'm not an ordinary demon. If I were an ordinary demon, I'd have long since turned you into a sex slave. I'd have extracted your essence day and night. If that really happened, I wouldn't let you off even if I became a ghost. Do you think I'd give you a chance to become a ghost? I'll take you and your fellow disciples to a great world and sell you to the big goblin or devil Dao cultivators in exchange for resources. As for that brat Su Fong, it's fine if you didn't mention him. As long as he dares to step into the Joie celestial world, he won't be able to escape my master's palm. Pow! The stone golem clenched his teeth in anger. He slapped Lan Haicheng so hard he almost fainted. What are you all standing there for? Do you want to die? He then glared at the 100 or so experts, ordering them to activate the formation to destroy the immortal sealing sect. Chapter 767. When the 6 scions of the celestial sealing sect appeared, the stone golem immediately ordered the experts to unleash a powerful attack. Another Xianguang appeared. Tens of thousands of disciples flew out from the celestial sealing sect's destroyed dojo. They were still elites. Among the 6 scions of the celestial sealing sect, the old man with the flying sword looked at the 100,000 disciples and shouted, "All disciples who cultivate the Daluo heavenly sword chi, form a seal and send your true chi infused with sword intent into the formation. Follow me to deal with the enemy." Yes, 100,000 disciples. Among these 100,000 disciples, there were many familiar faces. After the old man with the flying sword shouted, he turned around and looked at the Xianguang. The disciples behind him were infusing their true chi into the formation. Looks like I can only rely on my own strength to deal with this attack. The old man with the flying sword did not allow the other experts to attack. He immediately used his supreme ability, and the fragments of the dojo in the air surged toward him. Daluo heavenly sword intent, 10,000 feet long sword. This old man's strength was indeed extraordinary. When he used his ability, he could infuse the power of the dojo into his body. The flying sword in his hand released a powerful sword aura. Suddenly, he raised it and slashed through the air. Whoosh, whoosh. Above the old man, an astonishing Daluo heavenly sword chi formed in the air. Coincidentally, the Xianguang also attacked. The old man's expression changed, and he slashed through the air. Boom! With the strength of one person, his shocking cultivation, and his control of the Celestial Sealing Sect's dojo, the old man actually displayed strength that surpassed his own cultivation. Clearly, he was also someone who surpassed his cultivation. With the strength of one person, he was able to fight against hundreds of experts. Some of them were even at the same cultivation as him. When the Celestial Sealing Sect was in danger, the old man finally stood up with his 10,000 years of cultivation and turned into a giant to block the enemy. The other old men showed concern for the old man. It's about time. Next, we will infuse true qi and sword intent into the formation. Let all the disciples who cultivate the Daluo, heavenly sword qi, infuse their true qi and sword intent into the formation and infuse it into your body. Come! The flying sword in the old man's hand shone brightly. He was no longer illusory, and his aura was filled with burning sword intent. The 100,000 disciples behind him suddenly became illusory. Oh, the stone golem floating in the air was surprised. It suddenly released magic power, pressing down on Lan Haicheng's small and weak body, forcing him to kneel in front of it. I've always found it strange. It seems these 6 elders are able to extract the disciples' energy at will, said the stone golem, domineeringly. Under the pain, Lan Haicheng's body began to tear apart. From this, one could imagine how cruel the stone golem was. Blood spilled out of her mouth, and she trembled as she replied, "The 6 celestial bestowments are the leaders of successive generations. The protectors they choose are also ancient antiques." Get to the point. The stone golem released more pressure, and Blucia's bones could be heard cracking. The 6 disciples of the Celestial Sealing Gate are the most mysterious existences in the sect. Ordinary disciples only know that the sect is controlled by the higher-ups. The higher-ups are, without a doubt, the patriarch, the sovereign, the elder, and the grand elder. But the truth is that those elders are the higher-ups and control the majority of the Celestial Sealing Gate's affairs. Almost everything, big or small, is under their control. But when it comes to the life and death of the Celestial Sealing Gate, the 6 disciples of the Celestial Sealing Gate appear. In the past 10,000 years, the 6 disciples of the Celestial Sealing Gate have only appeared once. They are all illusory existences. Only the true higher-ups of the Celestial Sealing Gate know of their existence. From the moment the 6 of them began to cultivate, they were secretly selected by the current leader. The Celestial Sealing Gate has many divine abilities, and 6 of them are divine abilities. When the Celestial Sealing Gate was first established, it was rumored that this situation would occur. That was why the previous sect leader secretly arranged for the most outstanding disciples to cultivate the 6 divine abilities. He wanted to see which of them would be able to easily master them. In the end, he chose the 6 people who had the best understanding of the 6 divine abilities and hid them in the depths of the sect to secretly cultivate their own divine abilities. The 6 disciples of the Celestial Sealing Gate have reached an unimaginable level. Just now, those 2 old men used the Heavenly Dragon God Claw and the Daluo Heaven Sword energy. You saw how powerful they were. They could use their divine abilities to absorb the true energy of the disciples who cultivated the Heavenly Dragon God Claw and the Daluo Heaven Sword energy. That way, they could push their divine abilities and true energy to the pinnacle. They could unleash power 10 times or even dozens of times. That was why the old man who cultivated the Daluo Heaven Sword energy was able to single-handedly block the attacks of the other experts. How could a woman like her possibly endure the pain of being in Blue Sea City? She could only tell the stone golem everything she knew. The stone golem took a deep breath and said, "So that's how it is. That means the founder of the Celestial Sealing Gate must have been a very powerful person. If he were still alive, he would have ascended nearly 20,000 years ago. If that senior leader wasn't powerful, how could he have turned a new organization into a first-rate power in just a few thousand years? If he were alive, would you and the 7 Stars child have been able to act so wantonly? Yeah, Unfortunately, there are no ifs. Even if that person ascended to a great world 10,000 years ago and became an immortal, he would only have cultivated for 20,000 years. My master has cultivated the Tao of immortality for 100 million years. Do you really think he wouldn't be able to kill the leader of the celestial sealing gate? Kill him. The stone golem gave orders to his subordinates. The two sides have been fighting for several days now, and have been fighting over and over again in the sky above the Taoist temple. In a situation like this, the only way to achieve victory was to work together and use the spell formation. That was especially true of the more than 100 experts the stone golem had brought. If they gave up on the spell formation and attacked the celestial sealing gate on their own, they would definitely be killed by the celestial sealing gate's 6 disciples. None of them were a match for the combined power of the celestial sealing gate's disciples. The peerless old man with the Daluo heavenly sword Qi was indeed extraordinary. He used the true Qi and sword intent of the countless disciples to defend against the attacks. The experts the stone golem had brought weren't ordinary either, as they had lasted for so long. In fact, they were all powerful figures. Even the celestial sealing gate didn't have more than 100 of them. Even the stone golem hadn't expected the celestial sealing gate to be able to hold on for so long. Everyone, the celestial sealing gate. The old antiques who hadn't attacked yet suddenly communicated with Grand Elder Xiao Yun and Taoist Gojun. The old antiques smiled in surprise. Grand Elder Xiao Yun transmitted his voice to every disciple. Right now, the righteous Tao forces in our crimson firmament continent, the Ziwei Star sect, the True Technique Sacred Immortal sect, and the Green Mountains Myriad Saints sect, the 3 great alliances have sent experts to help. Immediately surround the invaders. Great. Great. The battle intent of nearly 100,000 words have been worn down with the passage of time. Just when they needed it, they didn't expect to hear the news of the Ziwei Star sect, the True Art Sacred Gate, and the All Saints Gate of Qingshan coming to help. The Ziwei Star sect, the True Art Sacred Gate, and the All Saints Gate of Qingshan were the strongest first-rate forces in the Crimson Firmament Continent. Whether it was in terms of age or foundation, they were all above the Celestial Sealing Gate. All of a sudden, the aura of the House of Immortal Sealing began to burn with raging flames. The stone golem was very surprised to see this change. He frowned. Although he was a spirit, a spiritual body, and a spirit cultivator, he was still an existence that had lived for over 100,000 years. He seemed to have thought of something. Suddenly, he turned around and saw 3 shocking auras coming from the sky. It wasn't just one person, but a whole sky. So there's reinforcements. No wonder the ants are so happy. The stone golem smiled coldly, and then used his supreme divine power. He saw disciples appear from the 3 Xianguang, each with over 10,000 people. He then asked, which 3 forces are they? The Ziwei Star sect, the True Art Sacred Gate, and the All Saints Gate of Qingshan are the strongest righteous path forces on the Crimson Firmament Continent. Each of them surpasses the Heaven Realm. The Celestial Sealing Gate has only been established for 10,000 years, but they're already supporting them. That's nothing. If there's time, the other righteous path forces will also come to help. Don't underestimate the Celestial Sealing Gate. Blue Ocean City's situation was better, but they didn't dare offend the stone golem. They think they can win just like that? What a joke. The stone golem didn't bat an eyelid. He still sat on his throne, not looking like he was going to make a move. He wasn't afraid in the face of danger. After a while, the Ziwei Star sect, the True Spell Sacred Immortal sect, and the All Saints sect of Green Mountain each brought more than 10,000 people. They immediately formed an encirclement with the Celestial Sealing Gate, surrounding the stone golem and over 100 experts. Kill. In a short time, the leaders of the Ziwei Star sect, the True Art Sacred Gate, and the All Saints Gate of Qingshan were all Grand Elders. They decisively gave the order. More than 10,000 disciples and experts under each of them activated their formations. For a time, the attacks from the 3 sides took on various forms. Some were storms, some were sword lights, and some were mystic rays, all of which attacked the stone golems. Kill. On the Celestial Sealing Gate side, the two elders unleashed the heavenly dragon divine claw and the grand firmament sword chi. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the four sides joined hands and instantly killed the stone golem and his experts. I'll make you return disappointed. The attacks of the four sides could indeed kill the stone golem and his experts in one move. Even if they didn't kill them all, at least half of them would be killed. The stone golem suddenly sneered and ordered all his experts to fly toward him. At this time, the attacks of the four sides also arrived. Just as the stone golem and his experts were about to be drowned, he suddenly spat out immortal light. Boom! Rumble! The attacks of over 100,000 people were like a huge net that struck the stone golem in midair. The four sides collided and collided, devouring everything. At first, there were four shock waves, but they quickly merged into one and caused the surrounding space to be torn apart. Haha, fellow Taoists of the Celestial Sealing Gate, don't worry. It's wishful thinking for an outsider to think they can destroy our Crimson Nimbus continent so easily. We're not blind. Don't worry, everyone. We're here. This group of wolves, tigers, and leopards will all die. The Grand Elders of the Ziwei Star Sect, the True Art Sacred Gate, and the All Saints Gate of Qingshan all laughed at the Celestial Sealing Gate. With this momentum, they were clearly going to forcefully kill the stone golem and his experts. The disciples of the Celestial Sealing Gate let out a sigh of relief when they saw the destructive energy in midair. Half of the formation's aura had disappeared. Taoist Gozhun also saluted in the air. Many thanks, fellow Taoists. The three sects have timely lent a helping hand when my sect was facing a great calamity. All the factions of the continent should join hands to defend against the outsiders and kill these crazy people. After expressing their gratitude to the three factions, the four sides focused on the turbulent sky. Now they just had to wait for everything to calm down and collect the corpses, or they could charge forward and kill the heavily injured experts. Chapter 768. Under the intense gazes of the four powers, the shockwaves disappeared, causing everyone to open their eyes. But the shockwaves gradually disappeared. What was left was not a corpse, but an immortal light. It was oval-shaped, like a poached egg that had just come out of the pot. The heat was the immortal light. Oh, the immortal light revealed a bit, causing the experts of the four powers to be stunned. The immortal light gradually became clear. There were experts inside, and the stone golem was still sitting on the throne. The immortal light was extremely sturdy, blocking the attacks of the four powers. Haha, bullshit Ziwei Star Sect, True Spell Sacred Sect, All Saints Sect, and Zhuo Tianji's Bullshit Cultivation Alliance. The stone golem laughed proudly. You only have this much ability. The mortal world can't do anything in front of an immortal. On the immortal sealing sect side, Taoist Wuzhen took advantage of the situation and shouted at the three powers, fellow Taoists, even if it's an immortal formation, this monster can't control it. Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. The old man with a cane among the 6 celestial bestowers also ordered his disciples to activate the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws to strengthen the formation. 2-2. A golden dragon claw swiped out from the air. Its target was none other than the immortal light. Pung! He grabbed the immortal light swiftly and domineeringly, but the immortal light did not budge. The elders of the Ziwei Star Sect, True Spell Sacred Sect, and All Saints Sect finally recovered and began to order their disciples to activate the formation. The three powers once again used their power. If this continued, even if they couldn't break the immortal formation, they would make it so that the experts inside couldn't attack Zhuo Tianjia. The situation was reversed. Zhuo Tianjia was in a passive position before, but now that the three powers were here, it was the stone golem side that was being beaten. Inside, the immortal formation. The stone golem was naturally not an immortal, but it could activate the immortal formation. This wasn't his power, but his master's. 7 Star Child. Do you see it? The difference between an immortal and immortal is too big. An immortal is an immortal. An immortal is immortal. How can a mortal know how strong an immortal is? The stone golem situation didn't change. It looked at the violent power attacking the immortal formation. It could be killed at any moment, but in reality, the formation was very sturdy. On the other side, Lan Haicheng remained silent. If it really was a trap, she would be in big trouble if she angered the stone golem. Now, I'll let you know my methods. Fortunately, Master bestowed me with this supreme puppet. The stone golem opened its mouth and spat out a Tao artifact. It was indeed a Tao artifact. No wonder he was so arrogant. He also had a Tao artifact. The Tao artifact was a stone statue of a man sitting cross-legged. Moreover, it looked very similar to Seven-Star Child. This Tao artifact stone statue had a history. Come out. The stone statue spat out a beam of immortal light. Under the control of the stone golem, cultivators appeared within the beam of immortal light. They appeared to be mortal cultivators, but they were actually puppets sealed with immortal runes. These puppets had long since been killed, and their corpses had been refined into puppets. Furthermore, these puppets had extremely shocking immortal runes on them. They were definitely immortal runes that cultivators from minor worlds could not create. There were quite a number of puppets, about 60 of them. The stone golem took out more celestial pellets and placed them into the puppet's body. After muttering for a while, it activated its immortal marks and gave the puppet an order. Kill. Kill everyone you see. Use the 9 tribulation immortal flames. Whoosh. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, they shot out immortal light and exploded with immortal flames. The immortal flames swept out, instantly burning the attacks of the attacking forces to ashes. There's movement. Yeah, there's movement. It seems to contain immortal light. Everyone, be careful. They might have some kind of Tao artifact. Ziwei Star Sect, True Technique Sacred Sect, and Qingshan's 10,000 Saints Sect all made a move. The expressions of the Grand Elders and Elders instantly changed. In the next moment, the puppets charged out one after another, burning with immortal light. Attack! The 3 forces immediately attacked. This time, it wasn't the immortal light in the center, but the puppets in front of them. Every side was activating the array, and waves of powerful attacks were unleashed. If the attacks hit the puppets, there was a high chance that the puppets would be blasted to smithereens, and not even their bones would remain. Whoosh! When the 3 puppets saw the attacks coming, they simultaneously shot out immortal flames from their mouths and palms. As soon as the immortal flames came out, they burned into a wall of fire. Whoosh! Whoosh! The result wasn't that the 3 forces wanted to destroy the wall of fire and kill the puppets. Instead, the wall of fire blocked the attacks of the 3 forces. It burned all the attacks into ashes. They were lighter than feathers, and when the wind blew, they turned into green smoke. The immortal flames could burn any attack. Moreover, each puppet seemed to have an endless supply of immortal flames. Careful! Watch me deal with this immortal flame. Unparalleled cold. More than 20 puppets flew over from the immortal sealing sex side. After burning the power of the immortal sealing sex formation, an old man appeared among the 6 immortal sealing disciples. When the old man formed a hand seal, his body exploded with cold chi from the Jade Heaven's cold mysterious art. The countless disciples behind him also released cold chi. Suddenly, the old man's palms struck the air, and an ice wall appeared in front of the puppet. Whoosh! Whoosh! The puppets shot out immortal flames, and the immortals hit the ice wall. Under the intense anticipation of the immortal sealing sex disciples, a huge hole appeared in their ice wall when the immortal flames shot out by the puppets burned through it. The ice wall melted, and steam rose into the air. Although there were only 20 or so puppets, immortals were truly terrifying. If it weren't for the fact that the old man had absorbed the true energy of countless disciples and used the power of the spell formation to reinforce the ice wall, the puppets would have long since leaped over the ice wall. Not good. Those puppets are approaching the 3 forces. Grand Elder Xiao Yun, along with the other elders and higher-ups, looked at the 3 forces behind them. They didn't see many puppets. There were only a dozen or so of them, and they were attacking the Ziwei Star Sect the True Technique, Sacred Immortal Sect, and the 10,000 Saints Sect. At first, the three forces were able to use formations to attack or defend, but soon, their immortal flames were too terrifying. The immortal flames of the puppets were too terrifying. They were not immortal flames cultivated by mortals, but flames cultivated by the immortal seven-star child in the immortal world. They were completely different from immortal flames cultivated by mortals who cultivated immortal-level techniques. For example, the 10,000 Saints Sect's experts had tried to kill the puppets with their own power. However, when their treasures and divine abilities came into contact with the immortal flames, they immediately lost control. The immortal flames destroyed their treasures and swept past their cultivators, burning them to ashes. Run! When the other two forces saw this scene, they decisively abandoned the Zhuotian realm. What alliance! They turned around and fled with their disciples. The puppets didn't chase after them. Instead, they turned and flew toward the immortal sealing sect. Haha, this is an alliance. Your immortal sealing sect shouldn't have any hope. Unless an immortal descends today to help you, this place will turn to dust. The stone golem dispersed the immortal light and ordered the 100 or so experts to attack again. Meanwhile, he floated in the air on his throne. Even more puppets charged toward the Yawa Tianjia. The 6 disciples of immortal sealing sect's expressions changed. One of them, a red-robed elder, appeared and ordered the disciples behind him to absorb the formation's energy. Green Fiend, True Flame. So this person cultivated one of the 7 great divine abilities, the Green Fiend True Flame. Of course, the Green Fiend True Flame shouldn't be one of the 7 great divine abilities. However, the Ruler Heaven Divine Step wasn't an offensive divine ability. Only one of the 6 disciples of Immortal Sealing Sect cultivated the strongest Green Fiend True Flame, using fire to suppress fire. The red-robed elder's thoughts were correct, and he had to take action. After absorbing the formation's energy and adding on the support of the disciples, his aura began to burn. What a powerful Green Fiend True Flame! It then transformed into a wave of flames that rose several hundred meters into the sky. The other elder who used the Jade Heaven Cold Mysterious Art also used this opportunity to wipe away the ice wall. The Green Fiend True Flame that had blocked the puppet's attacks was now in the air. Who? Sizzle. 2 flames began to burn in front of the Immortal Sealing Sect's 100,000 disciples. They tumbled and collided with each other, causing sparks to explode in the air one after another. Soon, the immortal fire with immortal light burned the Green Fiend True Flame. If it wasn't for the fact that the Green Fiend True Flame had a strong aura, it wouldn't have lasted for more than a few breaths. But now, the Green Fiend True Flame's aura had dissipated, leaving only the original Green Fiend True Flame. Naturally, it wasn't a match for the immortal fire. Even the original flame was being burned by the immortal fire. Such a huge Green Fiend True Flame was burned to ashes. More than 30 puppets had rushed over. A total of 60 people lined up in a row and pressed against the Immortal Sealing Sect. This was dangerous. We can't delay any longer. We can only kill these strong enemies with strength. The 6 disciples of Immortal Sealing Sect saw the situation clearly. Previously, they had been stalling. On one hand, they had weakened the enemy's strength. On the other hand, they were waiting for reinforcements. But now that the reinforcements had fled, they had no way out. They could only kill the strong enemies. Another elder immediately flashed out, his hands releasing boundless sword intent. Daluo Heavenly Sword Formation. The elder next to him immediately formed hand seals. Little Yellow's Heavenly God Energy. Heavenly God Form. Overlord's Wrath. Buzz. Sword energy appeared in the air after the Green Fiend True Flame was burned by the Immortals. It was a sea of sword energy. It wasn't tens of thousands, but rather a sea of sword energy that couldn't be seen clearly. It whistled through the air and slashed at the puppets, spewing out immortal fire. Whoosh! In the sky, more golden cauldrons that were 10 feet in size fell from the sky. Together with the sword chi, The cauldrons smashed into the ground. Whoosh, whoosh. The immortal fire was too terrifying. The immortal fire that the puppets spewed out burned the sea of sword energy in countless large cauldrons. True marks, imprints, and auras were all unable to resist the immortal fire. One cauldron after another was destroyed, and the sword energy was turned to dust. Fortunately, there's a lot of sword energy in cauldrons, and they all fell together. In the end, the two attacks covered the immortal fire, causing the sky to rumble. Whoosh! After the attacks weakened, some of the immortal fire and the puppets continued to fly over. It poured a bucket of cold water on the heads of the immortal sealing sex disciples. They still hadn't killed the puppets. You ignorant fools won't be able to stop me. Today, I'm going to start a massacre. The stone golem ordered the puppets, and 100 or so experts advanced toward the immortal sealing sect. Daluo, heavenly sword formation. Little Yellow's heavenly god energy. Jade, heavenly cold mysterious art. Heavenly dragon divine claw. Green fiend true flame. Myriad god seal. 6 disciples of immortal sealing sect. Use it together. Just as the disciples of the immortal sealing sect were trembling in fear, a man's roar came from behind them. Chapter 769. Leader. The supreme leader has arrived. Xiao Yun and Taoist Go Zhen immediately leapt into the air and arrived above the 100,000 disciples after hearing the voice. They bowed in the air and cheered excitedly. Leader. Even an elder like Yuan Tianzong wouldn't be able to meet him. Who would have thought? He had arrived. He was going to arrive in front of 100,000 disciples. All the disciples looked up. The sky had turned into a familiar formation, and the sect's source spiritual energy was surging over. A white-robed man was walking over. Beneath his feet was the Zhuotian realm's source energy. The young Ling Mubai was controlling the energy to appear above all the disciples. He was able to use the energy of heaven and earth. As expected of the supreme leader, all the disciples could sense the source energy coming from Ling Mubai's body. It was connected to their breathing. Who the hell is the leader of the celestial sealing gate? A young brat who has cultivated for 10,000 years. The stone golem in the air said disdainfully, I'll let you so-called leaders, old antiques, be killed in front of countless disciples. Welcome, leader. The 6 signs of celestial sealing gate soared into the air and used their auras to form the formation. Their auras were the auras of the 6 divine abilities of the celestial sealing gate. All disciples, use your divine abilities to strengthen the formation. After shouting, the 6 signs of celestial sealing gate turned around and stared at the 60 or so puppets, as well as the 100 or so experts behind them. After giving the order, the disciples behind them came back to their senses and hurriedly formed hand seals. 100,000 disciples used their true chi and divine abilities to strengthen the formation. The stone golem laughed cruelly. Kill, kill. Daluo, heavenly sword chi. Little Yellow's heavenly god astral energy. Jade, heavenly cold mysterious art. Heavenly dragon divine claw. Green fiend true fire. Myriad god seal. The 6 signs of celestial sealing gate saw the puppets getting closer and closer. When they were less than 3 meters away, they all formed hand seals. 6 great divine abilities, supreme will, divine image domain, transformation. Ling Mubai flashed behind the 6 signs of celestial sealing gate. 6 is the grand Tao of the firmament, the ultimate origin of heaven and earth. All things return to one. Ultimate origin returned to one. It seemed like the 6 celestial signs still had some tricks up their sleeves. As soon as the celestial sealing sect, Master Ling Mubai shouted. The 6 of them put their palms together and pushed them forward. Those puppets had already killed their way to within 100 meters, and they also spat out immortal flames that could incinerate everything. Hiss, the space in front of the immortal fire seemed to distort, as if it was about to be peeled off from space. A distorted space appeared and transformed into a solid state. It carried with it a burning aura. It wasn't the aura of the 6 divine abilities, but a power similar to an ordinary spatial enchantment. Clearly, the 6 disciples of fairy bestowment had combined their supreme formation attack, combined with the power of 100,000 disciples, and added to their own divine abilities, unleashing a peerless power. So powerful, the stone golem also revealed a hint of surprise. I didn't think that a mortal realm's power would be able to control space to such an extent. This is not much different from the current realm masters of the various small worlds. Boom! Immediately dozens of puppets spat out immortal flames, and the space that was separated from them was burned to the point of trembling, and many spaces were burned into fragments. However, the majority of the space was still suppressed by the puppets. Even though the immortal flames burned quite a bit of space, they were still less than 100 meters away and were unable to completely incinerate the space. The instant the puppets spat out immortal flames, the space trembled and emitted a large amount of black smoke and flames, instantly suppressing the puppets. A shocking shockwave spread out, and as soon as it appeared, over 100 experts behind the puppets took out their magical treasures to block it. Who? Some of the puppets were shaken to the point of rolling like rocks. Another explosion occurred in the space, and the resulting shockwave was even more terrifying. This shockwave also brought about an indescribable effect on the celestial sealing sect side. The 100,000 disciples released a shocking aura and were able to block the shockwave. However, the celestial sealing sect's enchantment behind them once again collapsed. The surroundings were gradually flattened by the shockwave. Everywhere it went, mountains, forests, and rivers instantly disappeared. How is it? The 6 disciples of fairy bestowment, Xiao Yun and Taoist Gozhan, came to Ling Mubai's side and stared at the rippling space expectantly. Ling Mubai's eyes shone brightly. Not bad. We've killed more than half of the puppets. The remaining ones aren't that strong. Grand Elder Xiao Yun sighed. These people came from the Wu-Tan realm. I didn't expect them to be so strong. Just 100 of them and a few puppets are enough to force my sect to go all out. One of the elders roared. The bitter battle isn't over yet. We still have a bloody battle ahead of us. Let's work together and let these people know the consequences of offending my sect. The celestial sealing sect's experts immediately sent orders to their disciples. Those disciples' faces were pale, and their attacks had consumed a shocking amount of true energy. That was especially true of their will. Most likely, none of them had much confidence in being able to stop the enemy. The spatial ripples gradually dissipated, and some of the puppets' corpses were scattered in the air. Some of the immortal flames were also fading away. The remaining 20 or so puppets were badly mangled, and their immortal marks were damaged. The 100 or so experts behind them had also suffered some injuries. Previously, they had been able to suppress the celestial sealing sect. Who would have thought that the 6 disciples of fairy bestowment would be able to join forces and reach such a level? At this moment, the celestial sealing sect did indeed look like the most powerful sect in the world. Not bad. You managed to kill so many puppets, and the surviving ones can't use any powerful attacks. A mocking voice, accompanied by applause, disappeared from the last ripples. The stone golem's throne slowly appeared in the air. The stone golem grinned. But do you think that your celestial sealing sect won't be destroyed like this? I'll say it again. Hand over the female disciples, Su Fong, and the resources, and the others can leave alive. You monster! Our sect's resources are the foundation of our sect. If we give them to you, how can our sect survive? Taoist Wuzhen roared. What no one expected was that Ling Mubai had disappeared from the 6 disciples of fairy bestowment and the 2 elders. Oh! The stone golem seemed to have noticed something, and it suddenly grabbed at the air. Beneath an illusory but overbearing sword, Qi suddenly appeared in front of the stone golem. It took a step forward, and the sword Qi slashed at the stone golem. Whoosh whoosh, several heavily injured puppets that had lost many of their immortal marks suddenly appeared in front of the stone golem. They unleashed all their auras and blocked the stone golem. Uffed. The sword Qi slashed the first puppet in half, then the second one, and the third one. The stone golem had already retreated. At this time, the other puppets had also arrived in front of it. Their immortal marks exploded, and some immortal flames burned. The silhouette that suddenly attacked with the sword Chi disappeared in front of him. Next to the 8 elders of the celestial sealing sect, Ling Mubai appeared again with a bloody aura. Clearly, that swift attack just now was done by him. Unfortunately, the stone golem was not easy to deal with. Sensing Ling Mubai's murderous intent, it used the puppets to block the attack. Otherwise, the stone golem would have been severely injured, if not killed. 5 puppets were slashed in half by the sword Chi. Seeing this, the stone golem looked at the celestial sealing sect with its evil eyes. Leader of the celestial sealing sect, you are not just strong. I almost fell for your trick. Looks like you have passed the last disaster. Why didn't you cross the river and ascend? Only a powerful warrior like you could be my opponent. Hearing this, Ling Mubai's expression did not change. You have a stone spirit body. Your skills and senses are similar to a human's. You also have immortal chi in your body. Looks like you have an immortal behind you, an immortal that ascended from the Wutan field. Yes, I have an immortal behind me. That's why I dare to come here. Oh right, you're the leader, right? Do you know that one of your disciples, that bastard Su Fong, went to the Wutan field, together with this female disciple from your celestial sealing sect, Lan Haicheng? The 2 of them destroyed one of my master's clones in the lower realm. This time, I am here for this kid. If you can provide me with his whereabouts, I will consider letting your celestial sealing sect go. Su Fong is a traitor. He went to the Wutan field and caused so much trouble. Hearing this, Ling Mubai was shocked. He stared at Lan Haicheng for a while. As for Xiao Yun, Daoist Gozhun, the elders of Yuan Tianzong, and the higher-ups behind them, they were all shocked. They did not expect that Su Fong went to the Wutan field and offended an immortal. It seems you really don't know Su Fong's whereabouts. Then I have no choice but to destroy your celestial sealing sect. The stone golem continued. Just now your sect killed quite a few of my puppets. These living puppets aren't very useful. But I'm sorry, I still have over 100 more of them. Over 100? The 6 disciples of celestial sealing sect, Ling Mubai, the higher-ups and the disciples behind them all tensed up. They were well aware of how powerful those puppets were. I originally thought I could destroy the celestial sealing sect with just a few of my puppets. Who would have thought that a sect that had only been established for 10,000 years would have such power? This time, I will let you know what despair is. Come out. The stone golem's palm slammed down on empty air. More puppets flew out. There really were over 100 of them. Among them, there were a dozen people who came to protect the stone golem. When the other 100 puppets appeared, they spat out flames and charged at the celestial sealing sect without the slightest hesitation. Even Grand Elder Xiao Yun was at his wit's end. He was also filled with fear. Not to mention the disciples, the puppets were already on the verge of collapsing. Now, there were twice as many puppets. At this moment, the 6 celestial masters flew out and formed a circle. They looked at Ling Mubai and said, "Leader, at this time, we have to use even more power. We have to kill these puppets before they reach us." Another old man looked at the disciples behind them and said with a thunderous voice, "The celestial sealing sect doesn't only have the 6 disciples of celestial sealing sect. We also have a 7th disciple." 7th disciple, even the 2 grand elders were startled. The elders, higher-ups, and elite disciples were even more shocked. The 7th disciple's mission is to step forward when the sect is in danger and fight the enemy with the 6 disciples of celestial sealing sect. The 7 disciples of celestial sealing sect are a combination attack left behind by the founding ancestor of the celestial sealing sect to protect the dojo. It's one of the 2 greatest trump cards of the celestial sealing sect. The 6 disciples of celestial sealing sect bowed at Ling Mubai. Ling Mubai slowly flew forward. The 6 disciples of celestial sealing sect introduced. The 7th disciple of the celestial sealing sect is also the protector of our sect. He's our supreme leader. Meanwhile, the higher-ups and disciples were all attracted by Ling Mubai. Chapter 770. The 6 signs of immortal bestowment were the strongest members of the sect of immortal bestowment. Even the 2 grand elders and the other elders only knew about the 6 signs of immortal bestowment. Even the 2 grand elders didn't know about the 7th scion. What kind of secret was that? Most of the disciples were still in a state of panic, but now they gritted their teeth and prepared to help the upper echelons of the sect. Ling Mubai arrived at the center of the 6 disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. He glanced at the puppets and ordered the disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect, activate your martial arts and add them to the formation. I will lead the 6 old antiques to execute the combined attack invented by the first leader of our sect. Yes, leader. All the disciples, regardless of whether they were in the upper echelons or the undying disciples, bowed. Then, they began to activate the true chi of their divine abilities. At that moment, many disciples' faces turned pale and bean-sized beads of sweat appeared. It seemed that the disciples' true chi had already been exhausted. The 6 signs of immortal bestowment looked at Ling Mubai. Leader. After Ling Mubai nodded, the 6 old-timers suddenly came to his left and right, lined up in a row, and used the Heavenly God Energy Shield, the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw, the Daluo Heavenly Sword Chi, the Jade Sky Cold Arcane Art, the Green Fiendish True Flame, and the 10,000 God Seal. The flames burning in each of their bodies were shocking. At that moment, Ling Mubai, who was in the center, used an unknown divine ability to absorb the auras of the 6 signs of immortal bestowment. The auras merged around him, forming a shocking combination of the 6 divine abilities. Ao Sangtian. Today is a great calamity for the sect. I don't want the sect to be destroyed in the hands of my generation. Ling Mubai's eyes suddenly emitted an immortal glow. 6 auras were emitted from his breath, forming a shocking aura in the air. Supreme Immortal Seal, Ruler's Domain. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 100 puppets charged into the area a mile away. They were moving faster and faster, and they were shooting out shocking immortal flames. These were immortals from a great world, and each of the flames carried a dazzling immortal light. Destroy. Suddenly, the auras of the 6 signs of immortal bestowment's 6 divine abilities disappeared, and they each struck out with their palms. Ling Mubai opened his arms. When the 100 or so puppets came within 100 meters of him, the intensity of the celestial flame was almost gone. The 7 of them felt the fear of being burned. Ling Mubai's palm was as fast as lightning and as fierce as a tiger. More than 100 streams of immortal flames erupted and burned. In front of the puppets, in the air where the immortal fire was boiling, a huge palm print suddenly appeared in the sky. Its 5 fingers were like Ling Mubai's open hand. With a whoosh, it grabbed at the more than 100 puppets in a domineering manner. The immortal fire immediately burned the palm imprint until it was incessantly burning true characters. The power of the divine ability disappeared. The immortal fire of the 100 or so puppets was still unable to burn the palm print. However, the immortal fire's aura was too terrifying. When the palm print pressed down and grabbed it, the immortal fire suddenly exploded in all directions. The explosive immortal fire aura merged with the aura of the palm and turned into a flaming shockwave that charged toward the 100 experts behind the puppets, as well as the 7 immortals of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Not good. The 7 immortals hurriedly activated a barrier and retreated. While dodging the shockwave, they didn't forget to form a barrier to protect the disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. However, the shockwave instantly shattered the barrier, and the 7 immortals could only defend. The flames and aura were constantly burning their defenses. As for the center, the palm print pressing down on the puppets exploded with a huge force, sending the puppets flying in all directions. Their corpses were everywhere. As for the 100 or so experts behind the puppets, many of them were killed by the shockwave. Most of them coughed up blood. I've indeed underestimated the Celestial Sealing Sect. The Stone Golem was even more surprised now. Although the Celestial Sealing Sect foundation isn't as strong as the Green Lotus Sword sects, it's not much weaker. I was almost careless. Fortunately, I brought a lot of puppets for Master before coming. Otherwise, how would I have been able to destroy the celestial sealing sect? The space in front of them exploded and shook. Neither side could take care of the other. After most of the shock wave dissipated, Ling Mu Bai and the 6 immortals of the celestial sealing sect looked exhausted. Their faces were especially pale. It seemed that the terrifying attacks of both sides had surpassed their individual strength. The disciples behind the celestial sealing sect were not affected by the shockwave. If it weren't for Ling Mu Bai and the 7 immortals of the celestial sealing sect, most of the 100,000 disciples would have died to the shockwave. In the center, the power of the palm print and the immortal flames slowly disappeared. Following that, the puppets' corpses floated in the air, but there were still more than 20 people alive. Furthermore, Russell, the stone golem, commanded the 10 or so puppets, as well as the ones that had survived the previous battle, to once again attack the House of Immortal Sealing. In addition to the 20 or so puppets that had survived the previous battle, the House of Immortal Sealing was in full swing. There were still more than 50 puppets left. However, only the puppets that were protecting the stone golem were the most terrifying. The immortal runes on the other puppets were in a damaged state. It's here again. Xiao Yun, Daoist Gojun, and a few hundred of the higher-ups flew toward Ling Mu Bai. Ling Mu Bai ordered everyone, I and the 6 immortals of the celestial sealing sect, need to combine our attacks. Ask the disciples inside the dojo to come out and replace the exhausted ones at the back. You guys can hold on for a while and activate the formation. We can still deal with the puppets. Understood. Grand Elder Xiao Yun immediately released his will. The 100,000 disciples immediately opened up a space in the center and retreated to the sides. Whoosh! It turned out that the celestial sealing sect had more than 100,000 disciples, and not all of them were participating in the battle. There is still a large number of disciples hiding. Everyone, the 7 of us, need to sit cross-legged and form a formation in the air. We need to secretly use our combined attacks to create a destructive attack. We can't be distracted during this period of time. You guys will lead the disciples to create a formation to deal with the enemy. Then, he ordered the 2 grand elders and the other elders. Ling Mu Bai and the 6 immortals of the celestial sealing sect immediately spat out a formation. The 7 of them sat cross-legged within it. Xiao Yun, Daoist Gojun, and a large number of elders and higher-ups flew into the air. There were about 50,000 disciples flying out of the celestial sealing sect's dojo. This was probably the last of the celestial sealing sect's strength. Unfortunately, the ordinary disciples had already been killed. Whoosh! Among the tens of thousands of disciples flying out. Suddenly, a young disciple who emitted a shocking aura leaped out. Behind him were the crown prince of Great Qing, Xue Long, and the other confidants of the crown prince faction. It's Prince Xue. When the surrounding disciples saw this young disciple with the aura of an emperor, they were all shocked and surprised. Prince Xue. He flew out of the tens of thousands of disciples, leading a portion of the crown prince faction's elites, and flew towards the higher-ups. Prince Xue, the higher-ups. When Yuan Tianzong saw this, he immediately informed the other higher-ups. Under Grand Elder Xiao Yun's instructions, Prince Xue flew over alone. There were hundreds of higher-ups, all of whom were at the pinnacle of the Ascension Realm or the Ascension Realm. Although none of them had 3 Calamity Realms, there were a few who had 2 Calamity Realms. Prince Xue appeared in front of everyone and bowed to each of the higher-ups. Today is a great calamity for our sect. As a disciple of the Venerable Tao, I, the Crown Prince, will also help the elders deal with the enemy. Daoist Gojun shook his head. Crown Prince, you haven't reached the Ascension Realm yet. With your Ascension Realm cultivation, you won't be able to deal with those puppets with the power of a great world. Prince Xue was full of confidence. In front of the higher-ups, he wasn't afraid at all. Thank you for your concern, elders. In this situation, we all have to buy time for the leader. I'm not talented, but after breaking through to the Ascension Realm, my strength kept increasing. As you all know, I was lucky enough to fuse with the immortal world. Now that I finally have a certain amount of strength, I'm confident that with the help of the sect, we can stop the enemy from taking half a step into the sect. Crown Prince, be careful. Who would have thought that Ling Mu Bai, who is secretly creating a great divine ability, would instruct him in front of everyone? Thank you, leader. Crown Prince Shui, alone, immediately flew to the front of the upper echelons. Oh, who is that? What can a fledgling disciple do? The celestial sealing sect is already at the end of its rope. The stone golem glanced at Prince Shui and didn't care at all. Prince Shui, although I think of you as an enemy, this is a moment of life and death for the sect's countless disciples. I hope you can stop the enemy. On the side, Lan Haiqing had been secretly paying attention to Prince Shui. He was surprised. Where's Huang Lingyao? Where's Sheng Changsheng? The three Dao sovereigns' disciples should have come out. Could it be that Huang Lingyao has already joined the seven-star child and is no longer in the sect? All disciples, listen up. Increase your magic power. The higher-ups began to issue orders to the 50,000 disciples behind them. Then the disciples began to form hand seals. The higher-ups also used their own abilities to increase the power of the formation and fused it with Prince Shui's aura. At this moment, Prince Shui smiled indifferently. He looked at the puppet in front of him. He didn't move at all. At this moment, Prince Shui's eyes suddenly emitted a mortal light. An old voice rang out. Crown Prince, this old man doesn't understand why you're still wasting your energy to protect the immortal sealing sect. You're the future son of heaven. A mere immortal sealing sect isn't a place for you to stay. Prince Shui snorted disdainfully. Save my fellow sect members. I just want to do some meritorious service for the immortal sealing sect and obtain the immortal sealing scripture. The voice was surprised. The immortal sealing scripture allows you to ascend to the great world. Using the great world's resources, your cultivation speed will surpass other cultivators after you become an immortal. That's after I become an immortal. But right now, I'm still immortal. The most suitable power for me is the power of a minor world or a great world. I can't handle the power of a great world. But the immortal sealing scripture is different. It also comes from a great world. I've heard that it has a very different power. Furthermore, generations of cultivators from the immortal sealing sect have strengthened it. It contains a shocking amount of power. If I obtain it, I'll be able to ascend to the great world within 1,000 years, or even sooner. Speaking of this, Crown Prince Shui suddenly urged his aura. 7 shocking auras appeared around him. It was clearly the immortal sealing sect's 7 great magical abilities. Unparalleled fist. The 50 puppets were already 100 meters in front of him. He couldn't wait any longer. Immortal Chi suddenly appeared around Prince Shui. It turned into a golden battle armor formed by Immortal Chi and Goldie's Sky God energy. Then he punched out. It was as if he was pulling a mountain. The aura of this fist technique turned into a mountain of fist intent. The puppets also shot out immortal fire. Although it was nothing compared to the puppets' immortal fire, it was still very domineering. Boom! The mountain of fist intent slammed into the immortal fire. The immortal fire exploded. The puppets were also shackled by the aura and couldn't move forward. So strong. Prince Shui broke through to the Ascension realm with Huang Lingyao about 200 years ago. But now, his strength has reached the Ascension realm. Lan Haicheng, who was next to the stone golem, was shocked. Chapter 771. Prince Shui had stood up in front of countless disciples when the sect needed him the most. He had even used a peerless power that was comparable to the first elders, Ling Mu Bai's power. His fist intent scattered the immortal flame, making it so the puppets couldn't advance. As expected of our sect's venerate Dao disciple. How powerful! Grand Elder Xiao Yun and the other elders exclaimed in admiration. Clearly, they hadn't known Prince Shui was this strong. The disciples in the back only had eyes for Prince Shui. They looked at Prince Shui's back. He was supporting the entire immortal sealing sect with his body. His backbone could stop the world from collapsing. In the distance, the stone golem was sitting on his throne, his eyes once more releasing killing chi. I remember you saying that Su Fong is also a disciple of the immortal sealing sect. I didn't expect the immortal sealing sect to be such a treasure land. Each of his disciples is so powerful. Lan Haicheng said coldly. The immortal sealing sect's 4 disciples are all extraordinary. First there was Su Feng, then there was this Prince Shui. The other 2 disciples are also very powerful. They are indeed powerful amongst cultivators. But do they really think they can stop me? The stone golem ordered the puppets to spit out a mortal flame and launch a new round of attacks. Prince Shui seemed to have taken root in the sky. He was resisting the power of the great world on his own. It seemed he hadn't used his full strength yet. Taoist Go Zhun and the other higher-ups released their auras. Crown Prince, buy more time for the leader. We'll have all the disciples use their true qi to strengthen your body. Elders, don't worry. Even if I die from exhaustion, I won't take a single step back. I'll definitely wait until the leader returns. Prince Shui's aura rose as he once more used his grand divine ability. Another wave of fist intent formed a spatial wall in the sky, blocking the immortal flame. Haha, do you see that? Among the disciples in the back, near the center, Shuelong, the crown prince, and the other experts didn't seem to be pleased at all. Shuelong said to the crowd, right now, the leaders of the 3 great factions, the Fragrant Jade faction and the Stone Saint faction, do you dare to stand out? If you don't, then my Crown Prince faction will definitely be the strongest faction in the sect. The Crown Prince will also become the new leader, cheered the Crown Prince. The others envied the Crown Prince Shuelong Shui and wanted to become a part of them. In the depths of the immortal sealing sect, although most of the barriers around the dojos had been destroyed, many of them were still intact. In the middle of the Forbidden Zone, which was the most sacred space in the House of Immortal Sealing, 3 shadowy figures stood there, watching the spell formation in the sky above. I have the immortal sealing sects. It was Huang Lingyao and 2 other experts hiding in the array formation. The 2 old men looked at the sky in shock. Crown Prince Shui was fighting against the puppet alone, as well as the immortal fire that burned everything. Their bodies and minds were trembling. Of course Prince Shui is strong, said Shuelong. He's already fused with the immortal world. He's just not strong enough. But compared to Huang Lingyao, she was very calm. If he wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't have been able to compete with me over the years. Back in the Heaven Gourd world, he relied on the power of the sect to take the Heaven Gourd spirit tree. I fought him for the first time, and that's when I realized he wasn't simple. One of the elders was surprised. That's right, the disciples of Sheng Changsheng's 3 Dao of Exalt should all be there at this time. Sheng Changsheng seemed to be in the sect before, but we lost contact with him recently. Among the 3 great Zun disciples, Sheng Changsheng has always been very low-key, but he's also very strong. I don't know what he's planning at this time. He should be leading the Shi Shang gang, just like Crown Prince Shui, to show off. Huang Lingyao said indifferently, okay, we have to be alert. Since Ling Mubai hasn't been able to sense the surroundings, he's really concentrating on condensing his energy. That way, he won't be able to be distracted. We should also take action. The 3 of them turned around, no longer looking at the surroundings. Instead, they stared at the depths of the formation. Whoosh! The 3 of them sped up, and the 2 elders gradually flew in front. Soon, they arrived in front of the forbidden space. What are you 2 doing here? An obvious door appeared in the forbidden space. A few wills were released from inside. After the door was formed, 2 statue-like elders slowly appeared. The 2 old men in front of Huang Lingyao enthusiastically walked towards the door. Lingyao has received a secret order from the leader to come here and take a few spiritual items. After that, she will join forces with the leader and other experts to deal with powerful enemies. Is that so? One of them glanced at Huang Lingyao, but he nodded slightly. Wait a moment. We'll communicate with the leader first. We'll let her go after getting confirmation. Okay. The 2 elders also agreed. They immediately looked at each other from the corner of their eyes. When the 2 elders seemed to be urging their wills, the 4 elders were almost facing each other. They were only 3 feet away. Huang Lingyao's cold eyes suddenly became sharp. Attack! Poof! Poof! The 2 old men at the barrier had never expected this. They only saw a blur in front of their eyes before a bloody mist exploded. Then, a sharp sword pierced through their hearts. God's descent. Huang Lingyao suddenly attacked. His left and right hands patted the heads of the two elders who were struggling. In an instant, two streams of Xian Guang drilled into their heads. The two elders trembled for a while. In less than 3 breaths, they suddenly gave up struggling. Huang Lingyao ordered the two elders, "Open the barrier and guard here for me. Also, tell the others that there's no problem. It's the leader who allowed the 3 of us to enter the Holy Land." Thus, the two elders guarding the door began to form hand seals like puppets. The restriction on the door suddenly disappeared, and Huang Lingyao led the 2 old men through the door in a dignified manner. The elder on the right asked in astonishment, "Lingyao, did you use the God's Descent technique just now to activate it? Otherwise, it's impossible to control their divine apertures and primordial spirits so quickly." "Yes, the Supreme Desolate Body is omnipotent. Its ability will appear as my strength increases. This is nothing. When I become an immortal, I will be very different from those ordinary immortals." At this time, they came to the Holy Land space full of spiritual chi and some immortal aura. The 3 of them directly flew into the depths. Whenever they encountered a restriction, Huang Lingyao secretly controlled the God's Descent technique to get the hand seals. Then, he calmly entered the depths without causing any disturbances. That's the place where the sect's previous leaders cultivated in seclusion. It's also the space where the sect's resources are. A cave made of intertwined formations stood in the center of the space. The 2 old men looked at Huang Lingyao in unison. Without the slightest hesitation, the latter flew towards the cave with the old man following closely behind. After passing through the cave's barrier, the spiritual chi inside was even more shocking. That was especially true of immortal chi. It took up almost a third of the space. This was the place where only the immortal sealing sect's leaders could cultivate. Wait a moment. There were several hidden spaces within the spiritual chi. The one at the center was Huang Lingyao's target. She was getting closer and closer to the space. Suddenly, she waved her hand, causing the 2 elders to stop. How could it be Sheng Changsheng? The 2 elders were shocked. The person in the hidden space was actually one of the 3 Dao sovereign's disciples, Sheng Changsheng. He was sitting cross-legged inside the space, absorbing large amounts of immortal chi and the surrounding spiritual chi that represented the 7 divine abilities. Huang Lingyao was also shocked. She looked at the 2 elders. How could this person enter this place? How could he cultivate in a place where only the leaders can cultivate? The elder shook his head. In the past, when we were guarding the sacred land, we saw Sheng Changsheng come in, but we didn't know he was cultivating in a leader's space. It seems our 4 Dao sovereign's disciples aren't simple at all. Huang Lingyao suddenly turned illusory. Since you can cultivate here, don't blame me for being impolite. In any case, you've been targeting me all these years. You used your Stone Saint faction to deal with my Fragrant Jade faction. Today, I'll take your head. Is that the immortal sealing scripture inside Sheng Changsheng's space? That immortal light must be the immortal sealing scripture, said the other elder. Why would Sheng Changsheng appear here? It seemed he was still absorbing the immortal sealing scripture's energy. The 3 of them didn't understand. One of them said, "But there's a leader's restriction. If we try to steal the immortal sealing scripture from Sheng Changsheng, the leader will immediately sense it. The leader is currently using the 6 immortal sealing disciples' divine abilities. He can't come out. What are you afraid of? Just these restrictions can't do anything to us," said the other elder disdainfully. Attack! Huang Lingyao suddenly drew closer to the formation. Then, her body transformed into spiritual chi and even immortal light in this space. The 2 elders behind her circulated their true chi and poured it into Huang Lingyao's spiritual chi and immortal light. Whoosh! The spiritual chi and immortal light were like the sharpest blades, piercing through the formation. Buzz Sheng Changsheng, who was cultivating, immediately sensed the disturbance. He turned his head and was struck by the immortal light. His body immediately began to crack. The immortal light turned back into Huang Lingyao. Sheng Changsheng's body was covered in bloody wounds. He looked at Huang Lingyao in disbelief. You dare to trespass in the sacred land? You're already like this. Why do you care what I do? Huang Lingyao waved her hand, and the immortal light in front of her slowly flew toward her. Within the immortal light was a closed silver scroll. Surrounding it were the images of the immortal sealing sect's divine abilities, such as the Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi, Green Fiendish True Flame, and Little Yellow's Heavenly Divine Astral Energy. The divine abilities, the spiritual Qi, and the immortal light all entered the scroll. It seemed to be the source of the immortal sealing sect. Sheng Changsheng struggled. Why you actually came for the immortal sealing scripture? How audacious! You want to steal it? But you won't succeed. The immortal sealing scripture isn't something you can take. Is that so? Huang Lingyao released her aura to the extreme and grabbed the immortal sealing scripture. But Sheng Changsheng was right. The immortal sealing scripture was 1 foot away from Huang Lingyao. Then, as if it had sensed Huang Lingyao's intention, it began to buzz and stopped moving forward. It seems that someone has fused with the immortal sealing scripture. It's the leader, right? The sect has its rules. The immortal sealing scripture is the most important thing in the sect. Even the previous leaders could not fuse with it, because it would absorb the faith and power of the Taoist disciples to protect the sect. Just as Huang Lingyao said that, the immortal sealing scripture flew toward Sheng Changsheng. Huang Lingyao immediately released her aura. She was shocked. You fused with the immortal sealing scripture? Impossible. The immortal sealing scripture is something only the leader can control. Not even the leader can fuse with the immortal sealing scripture. It's everything to the sect. The 2 venerable elders were also shocked. I already said that you won't be able to obtain it. Sheng Changsheng actually managed to squeeze out a strange smile. Chapter 772. So Sheng Changsheng was in control of the immortal sealing scripture. The 2 old men and Huang Lingyao couldn't believe it. The immortal sealing scripture was the #1 treasure of the immortal sealing sect. Other than the leader, no one else could cultivate it. In other words, only Ling Mubai could fuse with it. But why was Sheng Changsheng able to secretly fuse with the immortal sealing scripture here? Huang Lingyao stared at the ancient scripture that was slowly approaching Sheng Changsheng. His control over the ancient scripture was gradually slipping away. The immortal sealing scripture is a treasure that only the sect leaders can cultivate. Could it be that Ling Mubai already thought of you as the next leader and secretly nurtured you? Despite being heavily injured, Sheng Changsheng smiled. As expected of Huang Lingyao, you've thought of this so quickly. 3 disciples of the path of the exalted. No, 4. And here I thought the opportunity was fair. But I never knew that the next leader had already been chosen by you. The Immortal Bestowment Gates leader. Those old fogies really know how to put on a show. They even used the position of leader in front of me, Crown Prince Shui, and Su Fong. This is a matter of ability. I can make the leader and the higher-ups support me. Is this my problem? I think you should look at your own problems. Now I understand why Prince Shui has always been the fox flaunting the tiger's power in the sect, while you and the Stone Saint Gang chose to remain silent most of the time. So you already knew that the position of leader was yours, and the immortal sealing scripture was yours. You, Prince Shui, and Su Fong all wanted the position of leader for the immortal sealing scripture, right? That's the #1 treasure of my sect. Everyone wants it. Unfortunately, you're not strong enough. But I can make the higher-ups and the leader think so highly of me. This is a matter of ability. No matter how many important missions you carry out, such as Su Fong giving a Dao item to the sect, you still won't be able to receive the sect's true nurturing. Don't act so proud in front of me. You might not be able to take the immortal sealing scripture away. Huang Lingyao, you got guts. You dare to break into the sacred land and steal the immortal sealing scripture at this time? The leader in the sect won't let you off. Sheng Changsheng suddenly looked at the immortal sealing scripture, causing it to break free from Huang Lingyao's control and get closer to him. Clearly, Sheng Changsheng had already fused with the immortal sealing scripture and cultivated it to a certain level. Sheng Changsheng, do you really think that you'll be able to get the immortal bestowal scripture just like this? Do you really think that after all these years, Prince Shui, Su Feng, and I are willing to be exalted Tao disciples of the immortal bestowal school? Huang Lingyao, on the other hand, was even calmer. In front of Sheng Changsheng, he mocked, "Our goal is the immortal sealing scripture. Who cares about the immortal sealing school? 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 Who cares about the immortal sealing school?" All of a sudden, Sheng Changsheng's aura exploded. You have to understand that there is only one leader. If there were three more, then you, Prince Shui, and the traitor Su Feng would definitely become the leaders. But that's just a joke. From now on, I can openly tell the three of you that the immortal sealing school is mine. The immortal sealing scripture is also mine. I, Sheng Changsheng, am the true ruler. Do you really think that you can get the immortal sealing scripture? At this moment, Huang Lingyao looked at the immortal sealing scripture that was being absorbed by Sheng Changsheng. I've already gotten the immortal sealing scripture. You've already seen it. Why are you still asking such a pointless question? Sheng Changsheng was proud. Then you're wrong. Whoosh! Huang Lingyao suddenly appeared in front of the immortal sealing school. His right hand was still releasing aura to suppress the immortal sealing scripture. His left hand seemed to be using some kind of peerless power. Sheng Changsheng sneered. You think too highly of yourself. The immortal bestowal scripture is an item from the greater world. I've already fused with it. No matter how strong you are, you can't do anything to it. Is that so? Huang Lingyao's left hand suddenly released a peerless sword intent. This sword intent followed Huang Lingyao's left hand and slammed onto the immortal sealing scripture. Boom! The immortal sealing scripture was shaken and Sheng Changsheng was about to faint again. No, what kind of power is this? This is not something that belongs to a small world. Sheng Changsheng looked at the immortal sealing scripture in shock. He was slowly being controlled by the sword intent. You think that I'm just using the immortal sealing scripture as a treasure? You're wrong. I'm just looking for the power to ascend to the outside world. It just so happens that the immortal sealing scripture has been in the immortal sealing school for 10,000 years. It has absorbed the faith of countless disciples, the essence of their training grounds, and countless divine abilities and true chi. By obtaining the immortal sealing scripture, I've obtained the power of countless cultivators over the past 10,000 years. They will help me deal with the apocalypse and enter the outside world. However, a short-sighted person like you wants to cultivate it and merge with it. It's just an ordinary treasure in the outside world. I, Huang Lingyao, have a peerless desolate physique. I was fated to be an immortal the moment I was born. Do you think I would care about such an ordinary treasure? Furthermore, my power is something you can never imagine. You should have seen the power Prince Shui displayed before. He's already stronger than you. As for me, Huang Lingyao, I've never revealed my power, but I'm definitely stronger than Prince Shui. Buzz! Huang Lingyao's mocking continued. The terrifying sword intent in his left hand was forcefully sucked into Huang Lingyao's palm. No! Sheng Changsheng was so angry he wanted to attack. You should also die in my hands. That hateful immortal sealing school. They had long since decided that you would be the leader, but they played us like fools. Pow! Sheng Changsheng had been heavily injured by a sneak attack. Now he still wanted to resist. Huang Lingyao was a shrewd expert. He instantly released immortal light lightning. His left hand grabbed the air and slammed down on Sheng Changsheng's face. Huang Lingyao, you'll die a horrible death. Sheng Changsheng was cut by the lightning. His eyes widened as he uttered his final words. His entire body began to shatter. But after shattering, Huang Lingyao's smile froze. He saw that Sheng Changsheng's broken body didn't have much flesh or blood. What was going on? The two old men were on guard. They thought they would be able to relax, but when they saw the corpse, they were dumbstruck. Hey, a clone. This is actually Sheng Chongqing's clone. Oomph. It doesn't matter if it's a clone or his true body. I've already obtained the Immortal Sealing Scripture, but I can't touch the Immortal Sealing School's resources. Let's go. Huang Lingyao brought the two old men with him. His aura turned into a sword star. This sword star was unstoppable. It tore open any barrier it touched. Outside the training ground, the 6 immortal sealing signs were surrounding Ling Mubai, forming hand seals. Behind them was the training ground, while in front of them was Prince Shui and the other experts working together to deal with the puppets. PFFF. Unexpectedly, Ling Mubai suddenly trembled. He unexpectedly looked into the depths of the training ground with killing intent. One of the old men warned, "Leader, you can't be distracted at this time." Ling Mubai was unable to restrain his anger. Huang Lingyao actually snuck into the sacred land and stole the Immortal Sealing Scripture. Impossible. How could a disciple who hasn't even reached the flying immortal realm be able to sneak into the sacred land? Furthermore, there's no way she could enter so many restrictions without making a sound. This woman has a desolate physique. She's one of the 2 desolate physiques ever since our sect was founded. Rumor has it that the desolate physique has limitless abilities. This kind of ability varies from person to person. Perhaps she can control restrictions without making a sound. More importantly, she actually managed to steal the Immortal Sealing Scripture. Leader, the Immortal Sealing Scripture has always been sealed in the depths of the training ground. There are also experts guarding it. Furthermore, Huang Lingyao was able to obtain the Immortal Sealing Scripture. This can only mean that this woman's strength is about the same as ours. Otherwise, without such strength, how could she have obtained the Immortal Sealing Scripture? The 6 Immortal Sealing Signs were clearly very familiar with the Immortal Sealing Scripture. They were very clear about the situation there. This woman was able to seize the opportunity and make a move at the perfect time. Clearly, she had planned all of this for a long time. The key is that this woman has already rushed out of the training ground. Those experts can't catch up with her. Her aura is becoming more and more illusory. This woman is indeed not simple. I can't leave at this time. I didn't expect my plan to be so meticulous. I actually didn't take my disciples into consideration. I have to deal with these invaders. I will definitely find Huang Lingyao. Speed up. Ling Mubai could only watch as Huang Lingyao's aura disappeared into the distance. If he didn't have to watch over the Immortal Sealing Sect, he would have already chased after her. Rumble. High up in the sky, the dozens of puppets were still blocked by Prince Shui. Together with the higher-ups behind them, they used the power of countless disciples to support them. The tens of thousands of disciples were also exhausted. However, Prince Shui became braver as he fought. This person's strength was really unfathomable. What's wrong? Just as he was about to launch a new attack, his expression suddenly changed. He secretly asked, "Say that again." An old man's voice secretly came. "Crown Prince, just now, Huang Lingyao broke into the sect's forbidden area and stole the Immortal Sealing Scripture. She took the Immortal Sealing Scripture and rushed out of the sect. She has already disappeared without a trace. Many of the higher-ups in the sect are chasing after her. Huang Lingyao, I really underestimated you. My original plan was to exert pressure from all sides after this meritorious service and let the leader pass the position to me, or let the majority of the sect's disciples support me and become the successor disciple. I did all of this to get the Immortal Sealing Scripture, but in the end, Huang Lingyao still took advantage of the loophole. Then why am I still here now? Why am I wasting my true qi?" Suddenly, Prince Shui's aura weakened a lot. He casually pretended to be tired and used a large amount of pressure to block the immortal fire. In the end, he was quickly sent flying. It seemed that he had exhausted all his strength. Protect the Crown Prince. One elder after another flew out. Most of them followed Xiao Yun and Taoist Wuzhen to the front. They absorbed the power of the formation and used it to block the immortal fire. As for Prince Shui, he was protected by many experts. Yuan Tianzong personally used his power to lift him up. The two retreated a bit and returned to the back. Yuan Tianzong suddenly asked secretly, "What's wrong with you? Try harder and hold on for a bit longer. The position of the immortal sealing sect's leader will be yours. You've made such a great contribution and protected the sect. I'll let the higher-ups support you." Prince Shui seemed to be heavily injured, but his voice was still shaking. "Why do I need a leader?" Just now, Huang Lingyao snuck into the forbidden area and stole the immortal sealing scripture. I did all of this for the sake of the immortal sealing scripture. Now that it's gone, why do I need a leader? Huang Lingyao, she's just a disciple who stepped into the wing transformation realm 100 years ago. How can she have the strength to steal the immortal sealing scripture from a sacred place with so many guardians? Yuan Tianzong also couldn't believe it. Prince Shui sneered. "This person has a desolate body. I've been unable to get rid of her many times. It seems that I've underestimated her. I thought that Su Fang was the most difficult one to deal with among the venerable Tao disciples. Now that I think it's that bitch, Elder Yuan, I think it's time to leave the immortal sealing sect. There's nothing here that I want. A mere leader of a small force is of no help to me." Chapter 773. Yuan Tianzong trembled. You want to go to the Xinyuan Empire?" Prince Shui nodded. "Of course. I want to borrow the power of the Xinyuan Empire to quickly ascend to the outside world." "What are your plans?" "Those powerful enemies are determined to destroy the immortal sealing sect. In the end, the sect won't be a match for them. Staying here will only lead to death. The Xinyuan Empire can take us in. Although the Xinyuan Empire is a powerful empire, they've always been pestered by the Five Poison Divine sect. That's especially true of the Mortal Emperor world. It was taken away by the Five Poison Divine sect. Right now, they're searching the entire world for the Mortal Emperor world. They want to eradicate the Five Poison Divine sect as well." "You're saying they're in need of manpower?" "Yes. Back then, I invited the Great Emperor Dipper and other experts to help me obtain the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree. Who would have thought that the Great Emperor Dipper and his people would be wiped out? Because of that, the Great Emperor Dipper really wasn't interested in me. But later, he took the initiative to have me work for him. I remember you saying that the person who killed the Great Emperor Dipper was Su Fang. Su Fang worked with the Five Poison Divine sect to kill the Great Emperor Dipper. That's especially true of the Lord of the Five Poisons. He was a giant who stood at the peak of a minor world hundreds of thousands of years ago. How powerful is he? Su Fang joining his side naturally means they have another powerful backer. But the Great Emperor Dipper's death is more or less related to you." Yuan Tianzong was very worried, and his gaze was filled with unease. "That's true, but the Great Emperor Dipper really did need my help. He also saw my ability when I stole the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree." Prince Shui looked up into the sky. "But we still have to wait. Right now, many of the sect's higher-ups are monitoring the situation. If we leave, we'll definitely be obstructed. Once the sect is suppressed, that'll be the best time for us to leave with the Crown Prince faction." Yuan Tianzong no longer cared about the situation above. Using the excuse of protecting Prince Shui, he brought a group of people to the center to rest. As for the top, after losing Prince Shui, the two great elders strenuously gathered the power of tens of thousands of disciples, releasing a large amount of surging sword energy, forming a giant wave, blocking the advance of the immortal flame. However, the more powerful the immortal flame was, the more exhausted the disciples of the House of Immortal Sealing were. Every time they attacked, their fighting prowess would weaken. At this moment outside Zhuotian realm suddenly, a star mark flew over from the starry sky. Xing Hen arrived at the Zhuotian realm's barrier. After a human figure appeared, his eyes released a dazzling luster as he looked down at the Zhuotian realm. It was Su Fang who had rushed over from planet Chilian. After a while, Su Fang exclaimed, "The four largest continents in the Zhuotian realm have indeed moved to the deepest part of the world. In the center, there is a mushroom cloud of immortal radiance that constantly soared into the sky, which also affected the world barrier. It should be the immortals who were fighting for the Xinjia Gate in the past. Under the Great Perfection Vision, A mushroom cloud of immortal light rose from the depths of the Zhuotian realm, causing the entire world to be in a state of shock. If the Zhuotian realm lord had not moved all the continents, any continents or islands near the outer realm islands would have turned to dust under the power of the immortals. Everything in front of him was no longer the Zhuotian realm in Su Fang's memory. It seemed like the continents were still there, but because of the immortals fighting, the invisible shockwaves from the outside world were destroying everything in the Zhuotian realm. The spirit energy was evaporating, and the resources were drying up. After this battle, the Zhuotian realm would not be able to recover without 1,000 years. Luckily, my target is Sheng Changsheng of the House of Immortal Sealing. I'll let those immortals fight for the Xinjia Gate. That kind of treasure can't be obtained by killing all the opponents and eliminating the immortals. Su Fang did not want to participate in the fight for the Xinjia Gate. It was difficult for him to deal with even one immortal. Master, exalted cultivator Yuezhen appeared beside Su Fang. Su Fang ordered, "Sneak back to the House of Immortal Sealing on the Crimson Firmament Continent. I'll come later. I still need to see if Seven Star Child is fighting for the Xinjia Gate." "Yes, Master." After receiving the order, exalted cultivator Yuezhen, whose strength had increased greatly, was stronger than the other two elders, Xiao Yun and Daoist Weizhen. Now that he had returned to the Crimson Firmament Continent, exalted cultivator Yuezhen was also looking forward to it. When he flew into the world's barrier, Su Fang first hid his aura, then used his great circle ability to carefully sense the movements in the depths of the immortal radiance mushroom cloud below. Seven Star Child is probably fighting for the Xinjia Gate below. Once I return to the Zhuotian realm, it's fine if I don't activate my aura. If I activate my aura, it's very likely that I'll be discovered by you. He had to be wary of Seven Star Child. Moreover, he also knew that all the immortals were looking for him. Only he could enter and exit the Xinjia Gate. Which immortal did not want to find him and obtain the Xinjia Gate? After about half an incense stick's worth of time, he reached his peak state. His Ascension realm physical body and senses exploded. Coupled with the Zhuotian realm's world origin power, his senses in the Zhuotian realm were at least at the same height as Master Heiyun. After passing through the mushroom cloud, there were countless exploding immortal aura below. These immortal aura were very powerful. Any Ascension realm cultivator who encountered them would be instantly crushed. He looked again. There was no trace of the Outer Realm Islands. Flying Immortal Island. It had also disappeared. Even the water area was burned time and time again under the immortal light's shockwaves and immortal flames, turning into steam. The water area was disappearing in a large area. Although there were no familiar Outer Realm Islands, a door emitting a faint immortal light stood above the steaming water area with a light that did not belong to a small world. A door, an ancient silver-white door, seemed to be carved from a huge piece of jade. The door looked like a palace gate or a city gate. It wasn't the usual rectangular door with 4 corners. Above the door was a triangular door that looked like the tip of a pagoda, making the entire door look like a door carved out of huge jade stone with a triangular top and a rectangular bottom. Xinjia Gate. Su Fang's body and mind were attracted by the door. Naturally, this door was the body of the Xinjia Gate's Dao artifact. The sailboat he saw before was probably the pagoda above the door. He did not expect that most of the Dao artifacts were buried in the ground. The Outer Realm Islands have turned into dust. The power of the battle between immortals is indeed terrifying. If this continues, the Zhuotian realm will be destroyed. After a while, he moved his gaze away from the Xinjia Gate. He looked for the Outer Realm Islands again, but they disappeared completely. He sensed his surroundings again and saw cultivators fighting each other. Among them were flying immortal realm powerhouses from 1 to 3 disasters. There were also realm lords. He was now a realm lord and could sense which powerhouses were using the power of the world. There are many realm lords. Wutan Realm Lord is also here. As expected, there are many experts of the Green Lotus Sword sect. I can't see Master Heiyun and any powerhouses with the power of the Zhuotian realm. Zhuotian Realm Lord just gave up and let these immortals and powerhouses do whatever they want in his territory. Su Fang saw Wu Tan Realm Lord. Although he had never seen him before, he was too familiar with his aura. There were also many powerhouses of the Green Lotus Sword sect. He even saw a few familiar faces. Strangely, he wanted to find Master Heiyun and Zhuotian Realm Lord, but he did not see any of them. Great perfection realm perception spread in all directions, and his eyes gradually became shocked. He saw 14 immortals, and a few of them had the aura of the Zhuotian realm. Obviously, these immortals were immortals who had ascended from the Zhuotian realm, especially the immortals from the Supreme God sect. Su Fang could tell at a glance that they were immortals who had ascended from the Zhuotian realm. Their aura could not escape his senses. 7-Star Child. Finally, he saw 7-Star Child, who was fighting with an immortal. Both sides were locked in battle. They probably had not used their trump cards yet, and seemed to be at ease. Not far away, he saw another immortal who contained the origin of the Zhuotian realm. He also had the astonishing aura of the Green Lotus Sword sect. He should be the powerhouse of the Green Lotus Sword sect who had ascended more than 50,000 years ago, Huang Yuan. Buzz. Outside the barrier, Su Fang, who was using his Great Perfection Realm ability, had reached the peak of his senses. Suddenly, he heard a movement in the world barrier in front of him. It seemed to be the sound of shuttling. He immediately used his Great Perfection Realm ability. After a while, above the Star River, at the top of the Zhuotian realm, an immortal light that contained a great world suddenly descended. Immortal, Su Fang immediately hid his aura even more, and he saw a few figures suddenly fly out of the Zhuotian realm's world barrier. Master Heiyun. Among those people, there was a black-robed man. Su Fang recognized him at a glance. He was the king of the Dark Forest, Master Heiyun. And after he saw Master Heiyun, he looked at the yellow-robed man at the front of the group. When he saw this person, he was first shocked by his world power. This person, Realm Lord Zhuotian. It is indeed Realm Lord Zhuotian. Su Fan recognized the identity of the yellow-robed man. His world power was 10 times that of Master Heiyun, and his strength was unfathomable. To be able to make Su Fang feel that his strength was unfathomable, other than an expert like the Lord of 5 Poisons, it was the even more illusory Realm Lord. Therefore, the yellow-robed man was Realm Lord Zhuotian. Su Fang suddenly had doubts in his heart. Strange, Realm Lord Zhuotian is actually flying towards that immortal light. What's going on? Isn't the immortal in the immortal light an existence that came from the lower realm to snatch the Xinjia Gate? Could it be? He thought of something, and his face was filled with shock. Could it be that the immortal in the immortal light is an immortal invited by Realm Lord Zhuotian? I have to release my great circle power and listen carefully. This Realm Lord Zhuotian has always been mysterious. He must have some methods. Fortunately, I didn't enter Zhuotian realm immediately. It's best to understand the situation first. Secretly startled, he immediately covered the area with his great circle power. Even in the Star River, only a part of his great circle power was shackled. The remaining part was enough to cover Realm Lord Zhuotian's Star River. Boom! Not long after, Realm Lord Zhuotian brought Master Heiyun and the others to the Zhuotian realm, waiting for the immortal light to arrive. At this time, the immortal light finally slowed down. Suddenly, it set off a wave of energy in the Star River. The immortal light suddenly shattered, and an immortal with immortal light walked out. It was indeed an immortal. Just as Su Fang was sighing, suddenly, another immortal walked out from behind. There is actually an immortal that shocked Su Fang so much that his jaw almost dropped. It was just that when he saw the appearance of the second immortal, who knew that another immortal would walk out from behind. One immortal is already amazing. There's a second and a third immortal. Where did Realm Lord Zhuotian find 3 immortals? He had to hide his aura even more perfectly, and Su Fang appeared again. The immortal light behind him had not completely shattered, and he actually saw a 4th immortal walk out. For immortals, before he could even catch his breath, another immortal walked out. 5 great immortals. At this time, The immortal light finally shattered, turning into some sparkling immortal light that scattered into the abyss of the endless Star River. The immortal light disappeared, and above the Star River, even Realm Lord Wu Tan lost his light. The only thing that remained was the immortal with the immortal light, like 5 suns and moons coexisting. Chapter 774. Where did Realm Lord Zhuotian find these 5 immortals? Looking at the 5 immortals from the distant world barrier, Su Fong felt that he had returned to the Xinjia Gate. Why? He had only seen immortals in the Xinjia Gate. It was not strange to see immortals in the Dao artifact space, such as the Frozen King, the Fat Immortal, and all kinds of powerful immortals. But now, this was a small world, and 5 immortals had appeared at once. Were immortals so worthless that they could be found everywhere? This was enough to prove that they were not simple. Naturally, Realm Lord Zhuotian was not simple. Where did he find so many immortals? Could it be that they had just descended from the Great World? Coincidentally, when more than a dozen immortals were fighting for the Xinjia Gate, and when Su Fong had just returned to the Zhuotian realm, the 5 of them disappeared with the immortal light, and soon met up with Realm Lord Zhuotian. The auras of the 5 immortals completely disappeared, and when they arrived above the world barrier, they still did not look like mortal realm cultivators at first glance. At this moment, the yellow-robed Realm Lord Zhuotian said, "Everyone has finally descended to the lower realm. You came in time." One of the immortals was very majestic. What a familiar aura. Zhuotian realm. I didn't expect to be able to return. In the past, I also controlled this small world for hundreds of thousands of years. When Su Fong heard this, he was startled. Hundreds of thousands of years. It seems that this immortal is a realm lord in the history of the Zhuotian realm who successfully ascended to the Great World. As for the fallen Great Ape Demon I met back then, it should be the realm lord between Realm Lord Zhuotian and this immortal. Fortunately, you informed me about this matter. Otherwise, it would be impossible for us to descend to the lower realm in such a short time. The immortal continued to communicate with Realm Lord Zhuotian. It gave Su Fong the feeling that Realm Lord Zhuotian was not unfamiliar with these 5 immortals at all. It was as if they had known each other for a long time. Since there were familiar people in the Great World, it was not surprising that they knew some immortals from the Great World through communication from time to time. Su Fong heard that these 5 immortals came from an immortal realm called the Yuan Lu Great World. Su Fong was naturally not familiar with the Yuan Lu Great World at all. He did not care where they came from, as long as he knew what they were going to do. The Great Perfection stage had the ability to constantly pay attention to the 5 great immortals and Zhuotianjia. At this moment, Realm Lord Zhuotian had brought the 5 immortals to the outside of the world barrier. The immortals' deep eyes were filled with emptiness. Half an hour later, the immortal who was very familiar with Realm Lord Zhuotian exclaimed in surprise, "These 14 immortals are from the Qian Immortal World, Sky-bearing Great World, and Xianao Great World. There are also 2 immortals who are like us, from Yuan Lu Great World. These 2 should be immortals who ascended from Wutan World and have a strong Wutan World origin. Can you clearly see which faction in the Yuan Fortune Great World these 2 immortals belong to?" asked an immortal coldly as he rode the cold wind. "I can't see anything that can identify them. It's the same for the other immortals. They come from different major worlds. Apart from the aura of their major worlds, I can't tell which major world they come from or which major power they belong to. When we immortals descend, we are all very cautious. We are not willing to reveal which faction we are from. If someone really obtains the Xinjia Gate, they can also make it so that no one can find their origin and background. When they return to the major world, no one will be able to find them. Haha, these immortals came down to the lower realm to change the balance of the world. They could just walk away if they want to steal chickens and dogs and destroy small worlds." The immortals all spoke, and they were all very calm. Realm Lord Zhuotian said, "I have already set up a big plan for these immortals to kill each other and snatch the Xinjia Gate. This is to prevent them from destroying the Zhuotian world. However, from the looks of it now, the Zhuotian world will be severely damaged from now on. The minor world can be slowly nurtured but this is not the main point. That Xinjia Gate is a supreme Tao artifact, and you have been silently studying its secrets for so many years. Now, under the various abilities of more than 10 immortals, it is still standing firm. This Tao artifact is indeed incomparable, and we must obtain it. When we return to the Yuan Lu Great World, it can bring us unimaginable benefits. The immortal who possessed the Zhuo Tian world's origin looked at the people around him. Then let's follow the plan from before. When these immortals are almost done killing, we'll make a strong move. Kill as many as we can. First, we can't let them snatch the Xinjia Gate away. Secondly, we have to let these immortals and the minor worlds in all directions know of our Zhuo Tian world's thunder methods. Anyway, there's a good show to watch. These immortals are gradually activating their Tao artifacts. It seems that all of them have brought a lot of resources from the lower realms. The other immortals were already secretly eyeing the immortals who were snatching the Xinjia Gate. They seemed to be ready to attack at any moment. Only now did Su Feng, who was hiding in the distance, know what the 5 immortals and Realm Lord Zhuo Tian were really going to do. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Previously, Realm Lord Zhuo Tian publicly found a dozen or so immortals. In front of them, he acted as if he was afraid of the immortals and separated the Xinjia Gate from himself. It seems like he is afraid of the immortals, avoiding disaster, and protecting the Zhuo Tian realm. Who would have thought that this person had already set up a plan, purposely stalling these immortals, causing them to look down on him, and then causing them to fight for the Xinjia Gate until their heads bled. In the end, he brought the 5 immortals and charged out. The Zhuo Tian realm is even more unfathomable than the legends. This plan is really ingenious, but this person's ability is also extraordinary to be able to make 5 immortals descend to the lower realms in a short period of time. Otherwise, no matter how perfect the plan is, without absolute strength, the Zhuo Tian realm would not be able to make a move on those immortals. Su Feng secretly said, seeing that the immortals below were fighting over the Xinjia Gate, the various realm lords were fighting, and there were also many cultivators fighting over the Xinjia Gate, trying their best to obtain the Xinjia Gate. He felt pity for these people. Not long after, the 5 immortals outside would cooperate with Realm Lord Zhuo Tian. If they charged in, these immortals would not be able to resist. Obtaining the Xinjia Gate would be a pipe dream. Master, at this time, a thought came from the Zhuo Tian realm's barrier. Su Feng promptly suppressed it and absorbed it into his eyes. Exalted Luna's thought was very anxious. Not good. Someone is attacking the Immortal Sealing Sect. Who is attacking the Immortal Sealing Sect? His expression instantly changed, but he was more curious. That person is an Earth-type spirit. He is still shackling the Immortal Sealing Sect's disciple Lan Haicheng. He is currently controlling over 100 experts and dozens of experts with immortal marks to attack the Immortal Sealing Sect. Earth-type spirit, I understand. It's that stone-faced monster under the Immortal 7-Star Child. How is Lan Haicheng? Master, you don't care about the Immortal Sealing Sect? Why should I care about the Immortal Sealing Sect? That sect has long had nothing to do with me. In the past, because of the secret of the Xinjia Gate, they had hidden killing intent towards me. If I hadn't been careful, how could I have survived until today? AI, Lan Haicheng is fine, but she's being shackled by the stone golem. She can't use any magic or true energy. Her life and death are in the hands of the stone golem. Lan Haicheng is my friend. Even when she was captured by the stone golem and ended up in the hands of the 7-Star Child, she didn't sell me out. Furthermore, I was the one who gave her the stone scepter. Because of that, 7-Star Child was able to sense her aura. No matter what, I have to rescue her. Master, what are you planning to do? Hurry over. I'll come over right now. Keep watching in secret, especially find Sheng Chongqing's whereabouts. Calming his thoughts, Su Feng immediately took a step forward and entered the Zhuo Tian realm. He had never imagined that the Zhuo Tian realm would be attacked by an expert sent by the 7-Star Child. He was very anxious. Not only did he want to take back the Violet Chi magic spirit, but he also wanted to rescue Lan Haiqing. Right now, only the stone golem was present. Seven-Star Child was fighting with immortal Nashi over the Xinjia Gate. Without an immortal present, the stone golem couldn't stop him. This was his best chance to rescue Lan Haiqing. If he missed this opportunity and fell into the hands of the Seven-Star Child again, it would be almost impossible for Su Fong to rescue Lan Haiqing from an immortal. In the entire immortal sealing sect, only Lan Haiqing could be considered a friend. Most importantly, she had never sold him out in front of Huang Lingyao and the Seven-Star Child. This proved everything. If he didn't save such a friend, how could Su Fong cultivate in peace in the future and cross the doomsday calamity? He used his teleportation speed and fused with the instant space ring. He also used his demonic aura to hide his aura. From this moment on, as long as he activated his aura, it was very likely that he would be discovered by the Seven-Star Child and be tracked by Black Cloud. About a dozen breaths later, he came to the depths of an unfamiliar body of water. He felt that the Zhuotian realm was too unfamiliar. If it wasn't for the aura of a world, he felt that he wouldn't be able to recognize it. It wasn't until he saw the gourd-shaped crimson firmament continent that he calmed down. He was also surprised by the ability of a realm lord to move countless continents in a short time. This unparalleled ability was indeed something that no one in a small world could do. He flew into the crimson firmament continent. In a breath's time, he passed through countless high altitudes. Suddenly, a terrifying immortal fire appeared in front of him. The shockwave formed by the attack formed a terrifying shockwave that surged for 10,000 li in the air. The land within 10,000 li was practically in ruins. Moreover, the shockwave continued to spread and extend. If this continued, even the nearby cultivation factions would be unlucky. The stone golem is so powerful. Su Fong looked at the shockwave and thought that the stone golem had ambushed the immortal sealing sect. He felt disdain in his heart. Back on the Seven-Star Demon Island, he had used the heaven-worshipping stone statue to kill the stone golem's true body. If he could kill it once, why couldn't he kill it a second time? He passed through again. He came to the depths of the immortal sealing sect's territory in the past. However, he couldn't see the past anymore. Everything was in ruins. Master, the exalted man Yuezhin jumped from the front along with the shockwave. The immortal sealing sect situation is getting worse. Those dozens of puppets should be the work of an immortal. If they weren't an immortal, how could they have such powerful puppets? That immortal is truly terrifying. He can burn anything. It's like an immortal is attacking the immortal sealing sect. Su Fong wasn't in a rush. You're worried about the immortal sealing sect? Sigh. I still have some feelings for them. Although it's meaningless, I still feel uncomfortable watching outsiders destroy the immortal sealing sect. If they were fighting among themselves, I wouldn't care. Didn't you cultivate in the immortal sealing sect for 100 years? Fine. At this moment, Su Fong could understand the exalted man Yuezhin's feelings. If he had personally destroyed the immortal sealing sect, he wouldn't hesitate. However, if outsiders were to destroy the immortal sealing sect, it would make him think of those familiar faces. The Prince of Great Qing, Xue Qing, Yin Shi, Hua Daoying, Cheng Jinxia, Song Changsheng, Zheng Daoxin, Qi Yuanao, Lu Han, Fu Tianshun, especially Qian Huanyun, Yin Kaifeng, and the other cultivators he had deep contact with. Chapter 775. My enemies are the higher-ups of the celestial sealing sect. It has nothing to do with the ordinary disciples. Exalted Master Yuezhin, you're right. You and I will help if we can. It all depends on the luck of the celestial sealing sect. Su Fong and Exalted Master Yuezhin secretly observed the situation in front of them. In the end, Su Fong also decided that since they were going to save Blue Sea City, they would deal with the stone golems as well. It could be considered as returning the favor to the Celestial Sealing School. After all, he had cultivated here for many years and had made friends with some disciples who were not in the upper echelons. A big goblin appeared in his mind again. If the Rock King was here, he would definitely tell me not to save him. He wanted nothing more than to destroy the Celestial Sealing sect, but in the end, he was imprisoned for 10,000 years. The one who injected the fragment of the human emperor's bright wheel into his body was the higher-ups of the celestial sealing sect. "My lord, if we kill that stone golem, we'll be repaying the immortal sealing school's favor. Furthermore, if we kill that stone golem, the immortal behind it, Master Seven Star, will probably get here quickly." Exalted Yuezhan prepared to attack. Since they were going to save Blue Sea City, they might as well get rid of the stone golem while they were at it. After making up his mind, Su Fong immediately used the world's origin force and carefully approached the back of the stone golem with Guru Yuzhan. It was also at this moment that the barrier above the immortal sealing sect, which was in a passive position, suddenly buzzed and a ring of aura ignited. Su Fong could see through the 7 figures within the imposing aura. Ling Mubai still has 6 fairy realm experts. That's the 6 celestial children of the celestial sealing sect. They're old antiques. They're not as strong as Heartless Granny, but they're about as strong as her. They don't look like they've reached the pinnacle of strength, but they all practice one of the techniques of the celestial sealing sect. Because of that, they can hide in the house of immortal sealing and absorb the divine abilities and true energy of countless disciples. Once they use the power of their Taoist rites, their fighting prowess will be terrifying. For the past 10,000 years, the 6 scions of celestial bestowment have never appeared. It seems that the 6 scions of celestial bestowment have appeared because of the great calamity of the celestial bestowment sect. I've only met the 6 of them a few times and have rarely interacted with them. They're old antiques, and the only orders they have are from Ling Mubai. Superior Yuezhan was introducing the 6 people to Su Fong, the 6 disciples of celestial bestowment. Su Fong had been in the house of immortal sealing for more than 100 years, but he had never heard of them. It seemed that they had 3 grand elders who were old-timers of the house of immortal sealing. Moreover, the leader of the celestial sealing sect, Ling Mubai, was also present. The celestial sealing sect had indeed used their last bit of strength to deal with the strong enemy. This meant that they were already an arrow at the end of its flight. Su Fongdao was surprised. Indeed, the immortal sealing sect had hidden secrets that he didn't know about. To be able to become a major force after being established for around 20,000 years, even surpassing the Broken Sword sect, all of this showed that the celestial sealing sect definitely had its strong points. Su Fong released his Great Perfection stage ability. This attack by Ling Mubai and the 6 sons of Feng Xian is no small matter. The space around the 7 of them is filled with the true chi of the 7 great mystical abilities, as well as their supreme wills. The next attack will be the fusion of the 7 great mystical abilities into one. I estimate that its destructive power will reach the level of 3 heavenly disasters of the flying immortal realm. What he could see was the state of space that exalted cultivator Yuezhan could not see. It turned out that this was the foundation of the celestial sealing sect. They had fused the 7 great divine powers together with Ling Mubai, a peerless expert, and the 6 celestial sealing disciples. In addition, there were tens of thousands of disciples supporting them. This attack had already reached the peak of Small World. Only a major force could unleash such shocking power. Su Fong and exalted cultivator Yuezhan slowed down and stared at Ling Mubai, leading the 6 celestial sealing disciples to fly out and absorb the power released by the tens of thousands of disciples behind them. Ling Mubai shouted in the sky with thunder, "7 gates return to origin." Ha! The 6 celestial sealing disciples struck with their palms at the same time. The tens of thousands of disciples behind them trembled at the same time. They immediately couldn't breathe, and many of them fainted. It was enough to see how much of their power had been absorbed by this attack. The dozens of puppets had already reached dozens of meters in front of them. Although the immortal fire wasn't shocking, it was still difficult for the experts of the celestial sealing sect to resist. What a powerful control of space and the terrifying power of the divine powers. With his Great Perfection stage ability, Su Fong saw that the invisible divine powers in front of Ling Mubai and the other experts were actually formed by the auras of 7 divine powers that he was familiar with. They overlapped and merged together, sucking in the space and turning it into a space that they could control. Then, Like an invisible and untouchable wall, it pounced toward the puppet. Then, it clashed with the immortal fire, creating a crackling sound. The immortal fire was indeed powerful. It continuously burned the invisible spatial wall. The strongest attack from the celestial sealing sect was also fast and fierce. After breaking through the immortal fire, some of the puppets were sent flying by the spatial aura. When they were hit, they exploded one by one, turning to dust. Kill the enemy. Seeing the puppets being killed one by one, the celestial sealing sect disciples raised their arms and cheered. Their lost fighting spirit was reignited. The puppets were about to be completely wiped out. The stone golem suddenly flicked its finger, and an immortal rune shot out as fast as lightning. It left behind a trail of immortal light as it pierced through space. Ling Mu Bai and the 6 celestial sealing disciples didn't even have time to use the rune before it shattered above them, causing the immortal fire to explode. Not good. Retreat. Just like a huge fireball, the blazing sun-like fireball in the sky suddenly exploded above his head. That huge amount of immortal fire was even more shocking than the volcanic eruption. Just like that, the countless experts and disciples of the celestial sealing sect fell. Ling Mu Bai turned and waved his arm, ordering all the disciples to retreat. But it was too late. Some of the fireballs had already fallen and exploded among the disciples. The sparks from the fireballs burned a large area of the celestial sealing sect's disciples. Supreme Taoist Field, Qinkuan Shift. The 6 celestial sealing disciples and quite a few other experts suddenly appeared behind Ling Mu Bai. Ling Mu Bai promptly flew into the air and charged toward the fireballs. Then, he used his hands to create a twisting formation that slowed down the speed of the fireballs. Furthermore, the fireballs were constantly twisting around the formation. By the time they fell, they were no longer in the celestial sealing sect's camp. As expected of a leader, Ling Mu Bai is really strong. Su Fong was watching from behind. This was his first time truly seeing Ling Mu Bai. This is the best opportunity. Exalted Yuezhan, I'll handle the stone golem. You take advantage of the opportunity to save Lan Haicheng. He gave Exalted Yuezhan a meaningful glance, and the two of them approached the stone golem. The fireballs exploded around the celestial sealing sect's Taoist field. Each explosion caused the remnants of the celestial sealing sect's formation to collapse. The fireballs that had landed on the disciples' camp had killed at least 20 to 30,000 disciples and heavily injured tens of thousands. More than half of the 100,000 disciples had died. Wails, cries of despair, and cries could be heard everywhere. A celestial sealing sect. Now you know how powerful I am, right? I have power bestowed upon me by an immortal. There's only one fate for those who oppose me. The celestial sealing sect was currently in hell. Ling Mu Bai and the 6 celestial sealing disciples' attacks had killed most of the puppets. Only a few of them were still alive. The stone golem was currently riding on his throne with over 100 subordinates, as well as a few puppets. They were flying through the sky above the explosion, appearing in front of the celestial sealing sect's disciples. Those disciples who were still in shock from the explosion of the celestial flame balls could only despair and struggle when they saw the stone golem bringing so many peak experts over. Ling Mu Bai and the 6 celestial sealing disciples immediately turned, their expressions grave. The other elders and higher-ups also couldn't care less about those disciples. Right now, they had to stop the stone golem from attacking again. Core blessing, fusion of illusory and corporeal. Behind the stone golem, a figure had actually transformed into an illusory spatial state. It was as if his body was transparent. Su Fong had used a grand divine ability to use the Zhuotian world's core to control space. Then he had used the ethereal true scriptures Tao of illusory and corporeal. This way, Su Fong's body would completely evaporate from the sky. His body would be the same color as nature itself, and he wouldn't cause the slightest bit of commotion. Kill them all. The stone golem ordered the experts in front of him. Those experts immediately charged out. Swish! At this moment, on the throne, behind the stone golem, as well as next to Blue Sea City, A ray of sunlight suddenly appeared in the air, twisting and shooting toward the stone golem's neck. Clang! When that ray of sunlight struck the stone golem's neck, the sound of metal colliding rang out. In the next moment, the ray of sunlight transformed into a ray of white sword chi. The white sword chi slashed through the stone golem's neck, piercing through half of it. Just a bit more, and the stone golem's head would have been cut off. Lucy City let out a trembling scream. This scene also attracted the attention of the celestial ceiling sex experts. The stone golem was so angry that it didn't dare to move. It felt as if its head would fall off at any moment. Unable to restrain its fury, it spat out immortal flames. Hoo-hoo! Clang! That white sword chi once more struck the stone golem in Bluesea City. The ceiling chains binding Bluesea City were forcibly severed by the white sword chi, and Bluesea City was sent flying. Bluesea City, don't worry. Exalted Transcendence suddenly appeared behind Bluesea City. He grabbed Bluesea City with his true chi and flew away. The stone golem's eyes spat out a ray of flame. Where do you think you're going? Swish! Swish! The Aurora White Sword aura strangely created a whirlpool of energy in front of the stone light fire, like a dragon coiling around a snake. What's going on? The celestial ceiling sex experts didn't know what was going on. The only thing they knew was that a supreme expert had suddenly attacked the stone golem and almost killed it. The celestial ceiling sex higher-ups sighed in relief. The countless disciples behind them were also praying. Bang! Another moment later, an illusory figure suddenly appeared above the stone golem and slammed a palm onto the stone golem's head. The stone golem spat out immortal flames to fight against the palm. It's you! Suddenly, the stone golem felt a familiar aura from the palm. It immediately gnashed its teeth. Stone golem, you still remember me? I thought you were busy and wouldn't remember a minor character like me. The figure above transformed into Su Fong. It's Su Fong. Su Fong. The celestial ceiling sex higher-ups stared at Su Fong in disbelief. The disciples behind them also watched as Su Fong fought the stone golem. How could they believe that a former traitor, a genius disciple of the celestial Tao, would appear at this time? Heavenly fate life, shrinking art. In a flash, Su Fong appeared in front of the stone monster. He secretly activated the heavenly secret life shrinking technique and shackled everything in the space around the stone monster. Naturally, it was to prevent the stone golem from contacting Seven-Star Child. It really is Su Fong. He really did escape from a Xinjia gate. And there's also exalted, transcendent. Prince Shui was like a viper as he stared at Su Fong. He's still alive and well. His strength has increased quite a bit. Shui Lung and the Crown Prince immediately bowed to Prince Shui. Crown Prince, this time, we must eliminate Su Fong. We can't let him live. Prince Shui sneered. Of course I have to deal with him. Since he was able to escape from the Xinjia Gate, he definitely knows the secret of that Tao item. I'll capture him and offer him to the Xinyuan Empire. Chapter 776. Good. This person should have died long ago. Even if he died 10,000 times, he wouldn't regret it. Prince Shui and the Crown Prince of Great Qing were waiting to see Su Fong be killed by Prince Shui. As for Prince Shui, he flew out in front of the countless disciples who were staring at Su Fong in shock. Above the celestial ceiling sex training ground, the stone golem looked at Su Fong in shock, then said proudly, "Kid, you finally showed up." Su Fong said disdainfully, "I didn't think that a stone golem like you would be able to make a comeback. Back then, I killed your true body on 7 Stars Demon Island. In front of me, you were like a rat running across the street. Now that 7 Stars Child has come down, you're happy again. Haha, don't you understand? I killed my way into the celestial ceiling sect for a certain person and also to find you and lure you out. I didn't think that you would really come out. Do you know how many immortals are looking for you? But you belong to my master. You will die in my hands again." In an instant, Su Fong and the stone golem were like old friends who had met and chatted in the air. But as they chatted, the two suddenly attacked. It was as if they had teleported. When they collided, there was a shocking explosion. I didn't think that you would be so strong. The stone golem appeared on the throne again and looked Su Fong up and down. I thought that you wouldn't be that strong after all these hundreds of years. You were lucky to come out of the celestial ceiling sect alive. You should remember that I killed your true body back then. I can kill you a second time. I don't know whether you will die or I will live. Su Fong calmly walked over from behind the explosion. At that moment, the stone golem suddenly released a thought. How would he know? This was secretly released. Not long after it flew out, it suddenly started burning mysteriously in the void. That was because Su Fong had secretly used the life shrinking technique to shackle any perception or primordial spirit power. Once the power left, it would be burned by the life shrinking technique. This was Su Fong's most powerful divine ability, aside from the 9 Yang 9 transformations. Moreover, the stone golem was still feeling proud. He didn't realize that his thought had been secretly killed. Stone golem. Su Fong suddenly looked to his left and saw exalted cultivator Yuezhen and Lan Haiqing. The two of them were leaving quickly. I've decided not to kill you. Since you treated my friend like this, I'll trample you under my feet for eternity. You have to have the strength first. With that, he turned to the other side and gave orders to his more than 100 experts and his puppets. Slaughter the house of immortal ceiling. Whoosh! Whoosh! The experts and puppets immediately flew out. In order to have the puppets open a path, the puppets began to spray out immortal flames. Although there were only a few of them, the immortal flames were still something that ordinary cultivators could not deal with. At this time, the stone golem began to prepare to suppress Su Fong here. Then, Su Fong would become another Blue Sea city. Who would have thought that Su Fong would come back? This person is a traitor. He came to save Blue Sea City, not my sect. That's not necessarily true. We can't judge Su Fong's goal right now. What if he really came to save my sect? How could he possibly come to save our sect? If he had such intentions, why didn't he return to the sect earlier? He clearly knew that the immortal he offended would come to our sect. Why didn't he tell us? I don't think he's a friend. Last time, Jin Shankong and Elder Jidao brought so many disciples into the immortal Zhan Gate, but they never returned. But Su Fong came out alive. Those disciples must have all died in the immortal Zhan Gate. Speaking of which, he really didn't come to save our sect. He and exalted cultivator Yuezhen worked together to kill countless of our disciples. How could he care about our sect's feelings? At this moment, the stone golem was facing off against Su Fong. Occasionally, they would exchange blows. The House of Immortal Ceiling's higher-ups had sent quite a few experts into the air to once more set up a formation to block the 100 experts. But quite a few elders had surrounded Lingmu Bai. They were all guessing Su Fong's goal. They were discussing whether Su Fong was a friend or a foe. The majority of them thought Su Fong was an enemy, especially after what had happened in the immortal Zhan Gate. If he was a friend, then the House of Immortal Ceiling would have lost 2 elders and countless disciples. Lingmu Bai suddenly ordered, "Don't worry about Su Fong for now. Whether he's a friend or a foe isn't too important to us. As long as he can suppress the stone golem, we can join hands to deal with the powerful enemies ahead." Leader, elders. Prince Shui suddenly flew over. He almost noiselessly arrived next to the experts. Those elders were all astonished. They were most likely wondering just how powerful Prince Shui was. Last time, the Xinjiang Gate incident caused my school to lose 2 great elders, as well as countless people from the same school. Most importantly, after that incident, the powers that also suffered losses began to view my school as an enemy. All of this was caused by Su Fong. In front of the higher-ups, Prince Shui bowed. Now that we're fighting the stone golem, it's the best time for my sect to get rid of him. Disciple is willing to go and kill him. That way, we'll be able to answer to the other powers, and we'll also be able to get revenge for our fellow sect members who died tragically. Yuan Tianzong praised. That's the style of our sect's disciples. Everyone, this is a rare opportunity. That Su Fong's strength is also extraordinary. With the stone golem holding him back, the crown prince will have a chance to kill that unfilial son of his. We can't miss such an opportunity. Right. This really is the best opportunity. The majority of the higher-ups nodded. Everyone once more looked at Ling Mubai. In just a few breaths' time, the immortal sealing sect's countless experts were once again fighting with the 100 experts. Those immortal flames burned quite a few disciples to death. As the leader, at this moment, Ling Mubai commanded Crown Prince Shui with his supreme divine might. Crown Prince, go and suppress Su Fong. It would be best if you can capture him alive. If you can't, then kill this unfilial son. Yes, Prince Shui immediately flew out. Everyone, listen up. This is our sect's most difficult time. Kill the enemy. The higher-ups once more turned their attention to the 100 experts. They were like wolves, tigers, and leopards. They wanted to cut the immortal sealing sect into pieces. Ling Mubai led the 6 disciples of the immortal sealing sect. He ordered the disciples who weren't injured to hurry over. As for the injured disciples, they retreated. Up in the sky. Su Fong, today is the day you die. But I really won't kill you. I'm not obeying Ling Mubai's orders. Prince Shui's speed had reached the point where he could teleport. His gaze was gloomy and smug. Do you know how much the great Emperor Dipper hates you? You actually destroyed his true body. How could he possibly let you off? Do you know how much the Xinyuan Empire hates you? You've joined hands with the 5 Poison Divine sect to deal with the Xinyuan Empire and the Doichi Empire. I'll definitely capture you alive and hand you over to the great Emperor Dipper. I'm afraid I'll be raised as the crown prince of the Xinyuan Empire. Once I absorb their empire's power, I'll use it to ascend. Then I'll turn the tables and refine the Xinyuan Empire into my world. Haha, I didn't expect you to come at such a good time. You've changed my plans. You're Prince Shui's benefactor. The smug Prince Shui had already arrived a few hundred meters away from Su Fong and the stone golem. Just as he was about to stop and secretly unleash his power to make a move, suddenly, Su Fong shot out a terrifying gaze and looked down at the space he was in. What's wrong? Prince Shui suddenly raised his head and looked in front of him. He actually saw that the sky had disappeared. Only Su Fong's extremely bright eyes remained. Instantly, Prince Shui's heroic eyebrows condensed into a cold aura. Su Fong's eyes burst into laughter. Prince Shui, haha, you've come the right time. I was just about to look for you. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. Su Fong, a powerful primordial spirit. No, Prince Shui felt that Su Fong could only be described with one word: unfathomable. Crown Prince, this person is indeed powerful. If you fight with him and want to take him down, you'll have to expend a lot of energy. It's not worth it. In the dark, an old man spoke inside Prince Shui's body. Prince Shui grabbed a strand of Daluo Heaven Sword Chi and directly appeared. Then, he sped towards Su Fong. He then secretly said, Su Fong has the secret of the Xinjia Gate. I want to offer it to the Xinyuan Empire. Of course, I also want to obtain the Xinjia Gate. After all, even you don't know the origin of the Xinjia Gate. It's definitely a peerless Dao artifact. So you still want that terrifying Dao artifact. If Su Fong really does have the secret to unlocking the Dao artifact, I won't object. But if he doesn't, don't attack that Dao artifact space. I've been to many great worlds for many years, but I've never seen or heard of that Dao artifact. I'll be careful. Besides, with my current strength and foundation, even an immortal might not be able to do anything to me. How could Su Fong be stronger than an immortal? After disdainfully laughing, he was already dozens of meters away from Su Fong and the stone golem. At this moment, the 2 disciples finally faced each other. The stone golem looked at Prince Shui. Seeing his eyes filled with hostility, it immediately laughed. You're a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. If you can join hands with me and help me suppress this person, I'll agree to let the Celestial Sealing Sect go. What does the life and death of the Celestial Sealing Sect have to do with me? Prince Shui secretly mocked himself in front of the old man's consciousness. Then he smiled at the stone golem and said, All right, I'll agree. You and I will join hands to kill this person. No, I'll help you suppress Su Fong. But after that, you must let the Celestial Sealing Sect go. Smart. Kill. The stone golem revealed a look of admiration. Suddenly, it took out a stone sword. It was more than 10 feet long. It slashed down towards Su Fong. Daluo, heavenly sword chi. Prince Shui flashed out. He attacked from behind Su Fong. Suddenly, a shocking river of sword chi shot out from his eyes. Whoosh! Two terrifying forces came at him. Su Fong chose to dodge. After activating the instant space ring, he flashed to the side. Suddenly, he threw out an aurora sword chi. Not good. In the next second, Prince Shui was still proud that he had an expert like the stone golem. He could use the stone golem to suppress Su Fong. But suddenly his body trembled. A burst of immortal light involuntarily formed a defense. Crack! A white sword light landed on his immortal light defense. However, it only pierced a part of the defense. Instead, the immortal light knocked the white sword light away. Starlight Sword. Su Fong grabbed the starlight sword that was knocked back. He looked at the stone golem again and dodged to the side in time. He looked at the stone golem and Prince Shui in surprise. He stroked the starlight sword. The stone golem is more than 10 times stronger than it was on 7-Star Demon Island. I never expected Prince Shui to be so strong. The starlight sword is unable to completely kill the stone golem and Prince Shui. Previously, when he saved Blue Ocean City, he used the starlight sword to sneak attack the stone golem. Now, he attacked Prince Shui unexpectedly. However, the immortal light blocked it. That was close. Prince Shui looked at the immortal light defense. It was almost pierced by the starlight sword. If it really pierced through, his body would be cut in two. Kill! Prince Shui nodded at the stone golem. The two of them pounced forward again. Unlike the previous attack, this time, the stone golem and Prince Shui both released a shocking amount of immortal light. It was obvious that they were using their true strength.